Alrighty. We are live. Or at least it looks like we're live. The little green thing, it says it's streaming and it's a little green thing, and I've got audio bars, mic check, Nazeris.
Hello, and how's everyone doing?
Alright, you sound good. Sound pretty good to me. Just don't get too close to your mic. It doesn't like it. It doesn't.
I'm gonna die. At least
Alrighty.
Twitch doesn't have the stupid I'm receiving data but I'm not live.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if you heard me last night, but I was live. I was streaming for half an hour, and I look over at YouTube and it says "Go Live" button.
Yep.
And then I'm like, oh, that's what they meant by waiting. Not that they were waiting for the game to go live. They were waiting for me to go live. Oh no. Yep.
That was
I lost a half an hour of solid content.
That do happen. All right. I had to move some windows around. Anyway, welcome back. Welcome back. It's been weeks. Longer. How long has it been? When did we do... Oh, gosh. When did we do our last show? Hold on. Well, let's find out. The last Pathfinders podcast was when we did the July monthly reports.
6th. Yeah, it was the 6th.
Yep.
Dang, it's been almost 6th. A month.
It's been almost a month. Good grief.
One more week.
Yeah. We welcome back to the Pathfinders podcast. We are the Pathfinders, and we are charting the way through all the nebulous information surrounding Star Citizen and its development. I am Tree0311, here with my partner in crime.
Hello, everyone. I am Nazeris.
And like I said, we are the Pathfinders. And this evening, we're going to be getting caught up on the August Roadmap Roundups, as well as doing one of our SITREPs. We haven't done one of those in a little bit. The SITREPs are where we catch you up on the latest development news regarding specific features and things that we have covered before in scanner anomalies or spectrum pulses. So we got a couple things on the SITREP list this evening. Vehicle tractor beams, the quantum simulation, and the dev tools RaStar and the Procedural Locations Tool, because there's been a little bit of information, a little bit of confusion regarding those as of late.
They're going to make me buy an entire mixer board.
I just use Elgato stuff, and it's all digital.
Unfortunately, a lot of Elgato stuff is like, no, you don't have a device that I can ping off of. I won't let you use it.
Yeah. All proprietary.
Like, they got really good software. I like their software. It works for what it's intended. Yeah, well, yes. Yeah. Yes, very true. But, like, you have to own a device to use their software. And it's downright absurd.
So, before we get into the roadmap roundups, the updates, I can't talk.
The thing that we do with the stuff.
We need to address the elephant in the room. And
we're going to do a YouTube apology video too?
Yeah, YouTube.
And trending.
And that elephant is Starfield. Yeah. So you were streaming
space-themed elephant.
Yeah. So you were streaming Starfield yesterday afternoon, evening. I streamed it late last night, and then as well as this afternoon, my time. Nazeris, what are no spoilers if you can. What are your initial thoughts?
I've only just made it to New Atlantis. I can't give spoilers. I don't have any. Except I technically have a spoiler, but like it's very easy to basically just, if you're poking around in the first building you get to, there's some nice lore bits to find. It actually gives you a really good background, starting to get background of the world. It's really nice. I like the lore you get just in the first couple hours.
That is one thing that Bethesda does really well, is they cater. So I was watching you, and I was watching you play, and I was like, this is why Naz and I are friends. I was at work watching you, and I had you on my tablet to the left, and in front of me I had this mandatory aviation training that I had to go through that's just absolutely tedious. And so these headphones will connect to two devices. So I'm just clicking through the PowerPoint the videos for the aviation training, but I have it muted so that I can hear you and see you over on my left. And I'm like, Nazeris is literally picking up everything. If it's not nailed down and it is physicalized, Nazeris is snatching it up like a.
And I only stopped doing that when I was about 100 kilos overweight. I think it was kilograms, kilos. I don't know.
It's not
very overweight. Yeah. I could only walk maybe 5 meters before my stamina was gone. And so how it works, how stamina works, is you get your stamina, then you have like negative stamina, and if you max out your negative stamina, you'll have adverse effects.
Mm-hmm.
And that negative goes twice as fast as your normal stamina.
Yeah,
so it's like stop. Stop.
Well, and it's nice that it doesn't break your immersion to let you know that, hey, if you're overburdened, you'll just be like, you can't run, and you get out of breath so quickly, and you're like, what's going on? Oh. And,
no, Vasco lets you know. Are you sure it's wise to carry that much stuff?
I missed out on the
I'm
Vasco
not sure why
cues,
humans are so attached to items.
He's politely telling me that I have a problem.
Yep.
And I need to chill.
Yeah, at the end of the first mission type thing, it's like, oh, fast travel back to your ship. Look at your ship and hold F. Except I already tried to I already looked at the map, and it already told me, hey, you can't fast travel with when you're over encumbered. So I'm like, oh, I look at my ship. F. So I'm on the roof
Vasco,
of the stupid
carry
facility.
me.
I'm on the roof of the stupid facility. I've just fought off like 5 or so pirates. And I have to walk back to the ship.
Yep.
It's just like I'm over encumbered. I have to jump off the roof, or I have to go through the entire facility. Just like, if I go through this facility, I'll pick up more crap. I'm not going that way.
Mm-hmm. No, it's great because they do what Bethesda does, where they reward you for exploring the environment and finding little tidbits, especially related to the lore and the story, and filling in the background of the universe. And everybody like, oh, okay, sweet, I found another book or a data pad or a note or a piece of paper or something, and nobody reads it. Well, I read it. I read everything, and it gives me a lot more information. It's like, oh wow, this is interesting. Oh, these people are messed up. Okay, that's good to know. Wow, these people are not on the up and up. They're doing some terrible things. Oh, these people are really weird. Or, ooh, I need to remember to look out for this. And then like, I had like 2 or 3 side missions within the first sort of starter mission before I even made it to New Atlantis, just from picking up books or notepad things. It would give me a little side mission. It's like, oh, okay, now I need
activities.
Yeah, the activities, yeah. And they were very out of the way. And I love that they already had a couple of places where I needed to not only the hacking using the digipicks to open up loot
which
crates,
I've not failed once yet, so I'm happy.
Yeah, once you realize how it works, like, oh, this is easy. And I don't know how they make it harder, other than maybe adding more tumblers or something. I'm not sure. I haven't gotten that far yet. But I like being able to, okay, now I can, they've also made it so there's doors to open, and it's like, okay, sweet. Star Citizen, when can we hack loot crates and doors? And
like, if I were to sum up Starfield in a perspective of a Star Citizen player, I would call it Star Citizen Light. Because it does a lot of the same. Like they have the same kind of like goals in a lot of areas: outposts, living on your ship, items, hacking, NPCs, cities, and a lot of these things they're very similar on. But where Star Citizen says, "Hey, we're going to make it fully realized. We're going to make the whole thing." Starfield and Bethesda's like, "Okay, we can do load screens, we can do jump cuts. We're not going to fully physicalize our planets." So it's basically like the vision of Star Citizen at like a Bethesda level, whereas the Star Citizen level is still being built, which is the reason it's taking 13 years so far. But like Bethesda has its level that it plays at. It's really good at its level. No, like only haters will fault Bethesda. Only haters will fault Bethesda for playing at their level. Like they're not an MMO. They don't do fully realized environments. They don't do fully or excessively realistic environments. They have this kind of fantasy draw, this kind of, well, I guess more sci-fi now, but this like detached from reality. Like it will lean that way, but it's detached.
Yeah,
and I really like that. Well, I think it's interesting how based on history Starfield is. Like I've found very few books so far that aren't historic books. Excerpts from like historic books. Like most of them are either poems, songs, a book on this or that. I think there's like 2 or so that I found that were actually...
I forget the date that we're at. We're like 150, 200 years in the future. Something like that.
It's... I thought it was like 23. Yes, because 2310 was one of the years on one of the experiments.
I read the timeline, but I was like, I couldn't remember how far ahead we are. But it's obviously not like 2900 something like Star Citizen. But the books that you find and stuff, they're things that are historical references that you or I would get in the 21st century.
2330.
There you go. I think I would say my biggest gripe so far is the inventory system is not intuitive whatsoever. It is...
The menus entirely are so deep. Like to get to anything, it's 3 screens or less, or 3 screens or more.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you were there when I was trying to put inventory into the ship. But I put everything into the ship, or I put a bunch of stuff in the ship and then hit the wrong button, so I went out. So I started putting more stuff. I had to go through the menus to put stuff more in the ship. Except I thought I'd just start taking out the ship, so I switched it, and then I ended up taking stuff out of the ship because there's no the only thing that gives you an idea of where the inventory is a little text at the bottom saying switch inventory to that other inventory.
Yeah, it doesn't tell you that it's not intuitively showing you that here's what you're carrying on your person, here's what's on your ship, and it's like
there's no loadout screen
shows you that this is your inventory, and okay, if you are moving things to another inventory, you can see both inventories. Your chest in Skyrim that you're storing something, back in your little hovel. You open it up and you're moving things, and it's fairly intuitive. And this is not. And then also seeing what is equipped, other than the main screen when you pause, you press tab. That's the only place you can see what's on you, but you don't see. It's all just text when you go to look at your weapons and your suits and what have you. So it's a bit awkward, and I guess
think the biggest
somebody's
problem...
going for something original. But it's like if it ain't broke,
no, it's not original. It's Bethesda. It's Bethesda with extra tiles.
Yeah,
because it's.
I never had that much
instead
trouble
of
with Fallout.
In Skyrim, you had hold the button and then choose a direction. Now they've turned that into an entire menu screen, so you have to pull up a menu, then choose your direction. It's not a quick menu anymore. So let's say you're in, then you go to inventory. Now you have that category list. It's not an optional filter. It's now an entire category list. Then you go into the category. Then you go into all your items.
Yeah.
And instead of having a little diamond saying this is what you have equipped, it's just a little corner.
It's like Windows 3.1 or DOS with nested folders.
Yeah, it is Windows 8 compared to Windows 7. It completely is.
Yeah.
I hope modders fix the UI because they didn't even change that much. It's like the same screens, just worse. Mm-hmm. They didn't have any modernization to their UI.
Yeah.
And from what a lot of other people are saying,
modernization period.
Yeah. A lot of people were saying it just looks like Fallout 4 Plus. They didn't do any actual graphical work or anything. But gameplay, it's solid. Story, very solid. Ways to get lost, excessive. It's good.
I do think the UI for the scanning and exploration is good. I'm still struggling to figure out how to scan things, but when you press F and it shows the UI and okay, here's the path you need to follow. Here are the things you can interact with. Here are the different AR markers for locations for things. I think that is pretty good. I feel like the movement, if you're not sprinting, it looks like you're running in in the shallow end of a pool because you're doing a running animation. You're just not going very fast. But otherwise, the weapons
scanning
are cool,
is definitely
and
weird.
The gunplay is weird to me because you'll be shooting and you'll strafe, and it's like what was that sort of spy gun movie where they're curved bullets. You take a step to the right and the bullets are still marching out like that. I'm like, what's going on? Is there some sort of time warp?
Gunplay does feel oddly squishy.
Yeah, squishy and there's a whole bunch of. It's really easy to move left and right over your target. It's very almost sliding.
It's not tight. It's definitely not tight.
Yeah. Hey, good to see you. Thanks for joining us.
The scanning thing still confuses me.
Mm-hmm.
It's only just before I left the first place you land on that I actually got most of the knowledge that I have now on scanning. Because when you land, it says, "Oh, scan this thing." But apparently there are some things you have to scan multiple of.
Oh.
So the root and the triglobite thing, the little crab thing that you see when you first step out of your ship. There are 3 there. Scanning all 3 of them only gets you to 63%. I know that until I was walking back to the ship.
They don't tell you that.
No. What is scanned and isn't scanned is blue outline or blue filled in. Guess which one is scanned?
Blue filled in?
Yes.
I got lucky. It was a 50-50 chance.
Yeah, but so when you scan some stuff around you and you open it up, it's still blue. It still has a blue outline. It's just blue filled in as well.
Mm-hmm.
So unless you have what you scanned already and not scanned sitting next to each other, you would never know the difference.
Yeah. Otherwise, how are you going to be because it doesn't. There's not even any text that tells you.
And remember, with the root,
wasn't a scanning tutorial.
You've seen how sparse those roots are on the planet, right?
Yeah,
those red roots that you scan.
Yep.
You have to scan probably 5 of them, so you have to venture out, scan one, go away from that one, and remember to scan the next one because you've already scanned it. So, they don't do any tutorializing for scanning. They really don't. In No Man's Skies, it was once you have a thing of anything, you're done.
Yeah.
And
why do I have to scan?
Because people know that scanning, and that's mostly how scanning works, is one and done. That is a disconnect between designers and players. Completely.
No, I agree.
Nowhere does it say, scan more of these to finish your research. Nothing.
Yeah. I will say so far, the research and the crafting is easy. That doing those things is intuitive and it makes sense, and I had no troubles. The only thing that bothered me, and this is sort of a spoiler, was basically when you got back to New Atlantis and you met up with Constellation, they gave you the keys of the kingdom like that. There was no, you have to level up reputation with them in order to get access to different things. And next time you return,
the chosen
you'll
one
be able
problem.
to do this.
That's just the chosen one problem. Like you're a Constellation chosen one because you saw the visions. So I imagine it's the other factions, the other guilds and things you have to...
I just thought it was really weird that they gave me access to all their bedrooms and their entire
and it doesn't
bunker.
say whose bedrooms are which. You don't know who you're stealing. I mean, nope. Finding items...
I went into every bedroom and grabbed the things that were worth the most first, then came back downstairs and got the tour. And I was like, "Oh, I've already robbed myself. I already pilfered my own bedroom."
Oh, there's a tour? I have to find that. Oh my gosh.
You got to talk to one of the other characters, and she'll give you the little walk around tour. But they never gave me a tour of the downstairs part, and I already had access to it. And I'm like, sweet, you've got your secret underground lair with all your research and your crafting and stuff, and you're just gonna give me the keys to the kingdom. And I just got here. You guys have never heard of me, and I'm, especially like the character that I made. I'm a person on the run. I have the I basically made it so that oh gosh, what's the
there was an on the run wanted person backstory.
Yeah, there I had that one, and I had the alien DNA and the whatchamacallit, the one where you're good with not biotics, but what's the other word for it?
There's cybernetics.
Yeah, there's that one that is, you're talented with cybernetics, and it gives you gave me my bonus to the hacking and lockpicking and stuff, and
security
and something else. Yeah, it was
security gives you hacking.
But it wasn't the security trait. It was something else, and or maybe it was. I forget what it's called. Anyway, I picked it because I made it so my sort of backstory was that I worked for this corporation, and really good with tech and biological stuff, and then I volunteered for these experiments, and that's how I got the alien DNA, and I was concerned that they were going to write me off, and so I escaped and ran away, and that's why the people are after me, and that's why I tied those three in together. But then it's like, okay, I literally made a backstory that would make people suspicious of me at first, and you guys are like, "Hey, welcome, come on in, use our stuff here, steal everything."
Yeah, it sounds like they could have made it given a free extra 5 hours of the game for getting in with Constellation. So for context of years, so we know we're in the year in Starfield of 2330, in 2414. In 2214 in Star Citizen, the RSI engine of 1/10 the speed of light was found, and more ships are exploring the Sol system, so they didn't even make it out of the Sol system yet. However, it said where do they find jump? Oh, that's right. Okay, so 2262, the Bermuda Triangle in space, where the first jump point is. Discovering Banshee system. Where is the actual jump point? Oh, discovering the first jump point. This 2271, and then a couple of systems are found, and then the students after is just systems. More systems being found. So about 100. We're only about 100 years after Star Citizen would have gotten the main RSI drive. Not even jump drives yet. So quantum drives, no jump drive. So we're pre-jump drive in Star Citizen, which is interesting because we have jump drives in Starfield.
Mm-hmm.
So they have jump technology way before Star Citizen does.
And I think the only other thing that like it's the disparity of level of detail in some areas versus others. The environmental details in the exterior environments, I feel, are kind of lacking, and especially for the exterior of the spaceship, the level of detail is in my opinion very poor compared to the interior of the spaceship. And all the interior environments that I've been in, the level of detail has been fantastic. Um, whether it's at New Atlantis or that research outpost, the mining colony down in the mines and stuff, even the underground part looked good. But you're walking around at New Atlantis and I'm like, this looks like Fallout. It is
Shocked.
It is not progressed, and I could understand it better if with that level of detail it performed better, or if it looked a lot better and performed like it does. But I don't get great performance, and I have a monster of a machine.
How big is their team now?
It was like 300-400 people.
Bethesda, because it's specific. I don't know if it's like even their team. Bethesda Game Studios, because they only work on one game at a time, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. They have 489 employees. Oof. So you could have, 100 employees and do what Madden does and pump out the exact same game every year. Well, exact same game every year with two different teams. So 50 people at each. And you're allowed to improve one thing each go. So it's graphics or performance or gameplay. Pick one. Or you could do what Bethesda does and just do bigger, it seems. It seems like they're constantly trying to make their games bigger without trying to change too much. Because they said like Fallout 4, I believe they said it was bigger. Like they keep saying it's bigger. Every single time they release a game, they keep saying it's bigger, it's bigger, it's bigger, it's bigger. It's the most this, it's the most that we've done. But they're not changing their technology. They're not like ground up rebuilding their engine. They're not improving gameplay. They've chosen bigger.
Yep.
Or you can do what Star Citizen does. Buy more people. We'll do both.
Yeah.
Because 400, let's less than 500 employees, which is currently about half the size of Cloud Imperium Games.
Mm-hmm. Well, and they want CIG didn't reach that size until just a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
It took them, 3/4 of the dev time. It took them 7 years, I think it was, to get to the size of Bethesda. And so man hours wise, they've only recently eclipsed them. In terms of time on development, really, and that's an estimate. But
there's an entire other number to consider when we're talking about like that kind of studio building, is experience in the technology.
Mm-hmm.
So even if, let's say 2018, CIG had about 500 employees, right? Still, Bethesda still has the upper hand, even 10, 20 people short than that, because they've been doing the exact same thing they're still doing several times.
Oh, yeah.
So all their pipelines are already built, solid. They know who to talk to. They are not trying to...
tools are built. It is more...
The studios aren't moving.
Yeah. It is an entirely... it's a false equivalency to try and compare the two, because
it's kind of like trying to compare Star Citizen and Starfield.
Yeah,
it really is.
Comparing, they haven't had to build an engine from the ground up. The engine was there. You can tell they have not made much in the way of improvements to the engine. Some, like Todd Howard talked about, some, it's not really noticeable for me. I didn't play 76 and all that, but I played Fallout 4, and I'm like, Okay.
Which, if you
it's a good game,
follow
but
the marketing, Bethesda doesn't want you to acknowledge 76.
Yeah.
It doesn't say from the makers of Skyrim and Fallout 76. It says Skyrim and Fallout 4.
Yeah. And I mean,
which
really,
is interesting because if they said Fallout 76, I would have if they were pushing the more 76 angle, I would have thought they would have put it more for. Basically, they've given up on multiplayer. Is what I'm trying to say. They've given up on multiplayer.
Oh yeah,
like,
that ship has
we've
sailed
done multiplayer. It went terrible. So that as a sign from the universe, we're just going to not do multiplayer anymore for anything ever. Modders save us.
Yep. Well, any other last thoughts on Starfield before we get into the meat and potatoes of the show?
Only
and the reason we want to go for it.
That all of my comments thus far, I've played the game for 5 hours. I've only gotten to New Atlantis. There is 200 hours in front of me at least.
Oh gosh,
so
yeah.
My comments so far are very surface level. Like, I know that I don't know, which is very odd for knowing things.
Yeah, my things are just reactions to the initial, the aesthetic of the game, its design, and the base mechanics.
Not the base building mechanics.
Yeah, not base building. The foundational mechanics of the game.
But not the foundation building mechanics.
Yeah, I gotta collect 100 sacks of cement and 40 gallons of water, and but yeah. So Naz and I, we are planning on, we're going to do an entire Pathfinders podcast with our sort of in-depth review of Starfield, and we'll probably give it a few more weeks just because it's still in early access. Early access ends and the game actually launches on the 6th. So we'll probably do like 2 weeks after that. So at least, so that way, everybody's had it for, everybody that owns it has had a chance to sink their teeth into it. And then we're just going to have a back and forth discussion on what our thoughts are, for how far we've gone. Cause I've got a bunch of time blocked out for the next couple of weeks to play it and stream it. So if you want to hear my reactions live, come and hang out. Naz, I know you already were streaming it, and you'll be streaming it some more. But we're going to we're going to sort of, take notes and then do a full on episode with our collective thoughts in a few weeks on it. But I'm definitely enjoying it thus far, just like I have enjoyed other Bethesda games. But I don't, if there's a lot of people that were overhyping it and were expecting it to be something that it definitely is not. And, if you expected a Bethesda game and a really good Bethesda RPG, you're going to be happy. If you were expecting a space sim or
multiplayer, anything, or a lot of people were thinking like it's way deeper. Like it's not way deeper. It's still a Bethesda game. There's not the nth level of detail on anything other than items. There's not, and like characters still look Fallout Plus. World still looks like Fallout Plus. Maybe a bit. No, it's got the sci-fi sheen on it, but it's still Bethesda. Like, they make good worlds. But they are what they are. This is not going to deny any part of Bethesda that's already established. It is a Bethesda game. Which, again, it's not a bad thing. Just people were expecting them to... People saw, like, Eve, Elite Dangerous, X4, Star Citizen, and all these other games that are trying to do the, like, nth degree of something. And they're like, oh, so you're going to go do that because you're making a sci-fi game now. No. They are going to do a Bethesda game in the sci-fi genre. And I really hope too many people don't count it against them. Because it's a good game. They make good games. They make good games. And like just like the people who make Baldur's Gate, like, they didn't set out to make an amazing game. They set out to make a game they wanted to play. They set out to make the sequel to Baldur's Gate 2. Like, it was exactly what they made the other time, just the next iteration. It's polished. It's what they do. It's what they do. And it wasn't against anything else. Like, it was just what they do, and they just did it. The weird part is where it hit the industry, and it's like, people still make these kind of games? Yeah, people make good games. And I wish Bethesda was celebrated a little bit more. And so I just thought of something. We haven't once talked about the bugs. It's a launch title. It's a pre-launch title from Bethesda. We didn't even talk about bugs.
I had very few.
I don't know if I had one.
They were very, very minor. I did have an NPC standing on a table.
I did have one.
And I did have a couple of graphical glitches of things that were floating where they should not have been. That's literally it. Maybe there was a couple of AI things where I was like, where are you going? What are you doing? But I didn't know if it was just a weird behavior thing. I don't know if I could really call it a bug,
The only bug that I know, and I don't even know if it was a bug, because me and ammunition don't get along. Anyway, I reloaded my gun. It did the reload animation. And I still had no bullets. Hit reload again, no bullets. Hit reload again, finally bullets. So I don't know if it's like an empty clip thing. I don't know if it was just bugging out with the reload stuff. And then it's not a bug, but it's a problem. Vasco stands in front of you wherever you look.
Oh yes, Vasco.
If you're trying to go upstairs on it was like there was a little electrical or radar tower on the stupid facility. Trying to walk up and fire at the stupid pirates. I'm like, I'm encumbered. Move. Every step counts.
Pull back from your mic. 6 inches at least.
I am. No, it's not your fault.
Well, let's get into the roadmap roundups. I will transition us into the other screen in 3, 2, 1.
I need to figure out how to stop hearing myself.
Alrighty, Nazeris, you want to start us off as you usually do with the roadmap roundups?
Sure, because I totally have that open right now and wasn't completely focused on what we were just doing. Because so I played Starfield, and I won't have another time. The earliest I'll be able to touch it again is Sunday on stream. So sad. Okay. So, as we are to do, we do like to read the headers if we're reading directly from any Star Citizen documents. That's right, we're talking about Star Citizen. I forgot this was a Star Citizen stream. Anyway, so this one starts off. We're going through the August 7th, 2023 Roadmap Roundup. He says, Happy Wednesday. I almost said Happy Everyone Wednesday. Every 2 weeks, we accompany the roadmap update with a brief explanatory note to give you insight into the decision-making that led to any changes. This is part of an effort to make our communications more transparent, more specific, and more insightful for all of you who help make Star Citizen and Squadron 42 possible. With that said, let's go ahead and dive into this week's Roadmap Roundup, the CRG community team. Bum, bum, bum.
Okay, so
this is a
right
fun
here,
one.
August 7th. Right here, August 9th. It was... it was August 9th was when that Wednesday was. Interesting. Huh.
Oh, weird. They just screwed up the title a bit.
Yeah. Okay, so for the August 9th, so literally almost, we're coming up on 4 weeks ago.
We're so good at our job.
Yeah, we're been busy. I mean, I was literally out of state for an entire week, and I worked several days up to leaving and then several days after leaving. So it was basically almost 2 weeks of me not only either not being geographically available, but also, being busy before and after. So, release view. So they added physicalized cargo updates to the release view. The following deliverable has passed its final review. Therefore, we are toggling its status to committed for Alpha 320. Physicalized cargo updates, adding new functionality to accommodate the release of the MISC Hull C. This includes both automated cargo unloading at LEO stations, low Earth orbit. That's essentially every station that is above a landing zone city in Stanton, as well as SCU containers up to 32 SCU. And this does include the ones between 1 and 32. We have seen those in the PTU. This has its own card on the release view, but the work was wrapped into the sprints on the whole C. So you're not going to see a deliverable on the progress tracker for this.
Yeah, and physicalized cargo and cargo updates were caught in between the... There goes the words. Basically, where Seiji was naming it Tier 1, Tier 2, Tier 3 kind of things, and what they're doing with salvage being it feature-based. So, hull salvage Tier 1 turned into salvage hull scraping, and salvage Tier 2 turned into salvage vehicle munching. So physicalized cargo is an older one, where physicalized cargo is a tile, technically, but they moved a lot of the features. It was now physicalized cargo, which was kind of rolled into the whole C, and the next feature for it is freight elevator. So that's how those all kind of fit together.
Soon to
Do we still have physicalized cargo as a uncompleted deliverable? That I didn't check.
Hold on. I'll open it up and look.
Let's see who gets that first. Oh, dang it. Ooh, it didn't show up at all.
Gameplay. It is committed.
Yeah. I'm talking about on the RG. Physicalized cargo. Oh, they removed the tile. Wasn't physicalized cargo a tile?
No. It was never a deliverable.
Oh, it was cargo system refactor. I swear they said there was physicalized cargo as a tile at one point.
Oh, and they misspelled retrieve and retrieve consignment.
How is it spelled? Is it TRE?
Yep, TRIE.
I said okay. Where did it go? Oh, here we are. Physicalized cargo. Nope, that's systems. That's still systems. I have two things of the same thing. I have too many tabs. It's okay. Give me a second. Roadmap Roundups. Nope. F. There we go. That. Find all. There are none.
F's in chat. F's in chat.
Nowhere did it mention physicalized cargo.
Nope. Jake specifically said there isn't a separate deliverable. It was just work rolled into the whole C.
I wonder if there's one in monthly reports, which I don't have the database set up yet.
I don't know.
Because I swear they said physicalized cargo before they started talking about 320.
Oh yeah. They were talking about, what they had to do more containers and stuff like that, but
they specifically said physicalized cargo in some context not relating to 320. I don't remember what that context was.
Okay.
That's my only point.
Progress tracker.
Yes. Yes. I lost the page. There it is. Progress tracker. Sorry. With this update, we wanted to make you aware of a few upcoming team changes on Star Citizen. To better support upcoming tasks and to accommodate the development resources coming in from our Montreal studio. Our Montreal studio. No longer the Turbulent studio. It is now the CIG Montreal studio. The US PU gameplay feature and systemic services and tools teams are now being reformed into a pair of new teams. So 3 teams, 2 teams. These teams will be NAPU gameplay feature team, and the Academy team.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, Mike. Tell me again they're not working on the economy. Tell me again they're not working on the economy. Say it. So sick of people saying they're not working on the economy. Like every stupid update has some tweak to some number in the economy. Got it. The majority of the USPU and the FT task will be given to these new teams, with a few going into other teams. We'll have more info on these, their deliverables, and their schedules in the future. But for now, we're updating the USPU and SST's schedules to the end of Q3. Additionally, we're also introducing the vehicle gameplay. This team will have a focus on the universe and its vehicles, with our existing vehicle feature team remaining on Squadron 42. All three of these new teams will be on the program very soon, but we want to give you an early heads up. Thanks.
Is Discord voice activated right now, or do you have your just mic open?
Open?
I don't know. You keep on getting cut off.
Oh my gosh, Discord, please.
So this news is really huge. So I tried to find the link, but in one of the Star Citizen lives, there was a mention that they were building another. They were adding another gameplay team to the US, and so Aetherdrift says, Naz is randomly cutting out for a second every so often. And so we know that they are hiring more people for the PU gameplay feature team. The PU gameplay feature team is the team that takes, first a team will build the tech to allow for a gameplay feature, and then they'll build the feature itself, and then the gameplay feature team will take those features and build them into a holistic gameplay system. So when we're talking about things like mining, salvaging, things like the hole scraping and the hole munching, the new bounty hunter system, all those sorts of things are under the purview, basically, as the different disparate features that are part of that gameplay come together. They're cobbled together by the gameplay feature team, who then does all like the balancing and such before it goes into game. And so a couple months back, they did mention that they are hiring for the gameplay feature team in the US, which, if I remember correctly, is in Los Angeles. And it sounds like now they're not only hiring in Los Angeles, or maybe just hiring more in Montreal, but they were planning on expanding that team. And so this is rolling into that. So there's going to be gameplay feature team people in Montreal as well as Los Angeles, and they are hiring for that team in order to get gameplay features into the game. Well, why is this important? This is this team. This team in particular is the team that will be bringing in a lot of the things from Squadron into the PU and testing and balancing it and implementing it. So and they have been working on a lot of the things that Squadron has been working on that have started to be ported over and are being slowly introduced, to Star Citizen. And so them adding more people to this team is a good thing, because it means that as these things are completed for Squadron, things like your Mantle Tier 2, your EVA Tier 2, all your player interaction system stuff, a lot of these different systems will be able to be brought online in a more expeditious fashion, because they'll have more teams within this team in order to tackle more deliverables for bringing them into the PU. And then the economy team, well, obviously that's amazing, because that means that, hey, they're specifically saying that systemic services and tools are going to be really dedicated to the economy team, or to working on the economy. Now, why is that's a little bit even more interesting to me, because calling them the economy team and not systemic services and tools makes me wonder if there's going to be another team that's going to work on the tools and those people will get named or something like that, or what. Because not everything for quantum is economy based. There are a lot of things that are AI service related. And so it makes you wonder how much progress are they making on those things, where would those still fall under the economy team, even though it's not named after that? Or are those things going to be done in a relatively soon type fashion, where SST is going to be focusing on the economy after that, after getting in like the AI related stuff for Bounty Hunter V2? Don't know. I'm just going to have to wait and see. As far as the getting their schedules soon, I think soon probably means at the end of Q3, beginning of Q4, because we haven't seen anything since, and this is a month ago. New vehicle gameplay feature team, hooray! Like, that's a big deal, because these are the people that will be taking the flight model and master modes the wheel vehicle improvements, and hopefully eventually tracked vehicle improvements. But the things that are being built in Squadron, your flight model, master modes, these are the people that will be bringing those things over from Squadron into the PU again. And they are building these teams up in order to take what they've built for Squadron and make it, not only bring it into the PU, but make it work for the PU. This is because these teams do a lot of the balancing for these features. That's how that's where that occurs. And there's balancing that occurs obviously for Squadron, but the balancing for Squadron is different than the balancing for the PU. Pardon me. Nazeris, you got anything to add?
Only if my mic is actually working.
Sounds good to me. I'm going to dial you up a little bit.
Just put it back to what it was.
Hmm?
I just put it back to what it was when I joined the call and you said it was tinny.
Well, you don't sound tinny anymore. I don't know. Yeah. So why don't we look at the Delta report for that roadmap update first before we go to the August 23rd roadmap roundup.
You want me to change so many windows, sir?
That's why the links are in the OneNote.
Yeah, but how I have everything set up. So, okay. Yes, I sound fine on stream. All right. Okay, I can stop hearing an echo now. Yay!
Hooray!
I sound still stuffy, but it's fine. Delta report for... It's going 7.9. Yeah, 7.9. Okay, it's already on there. Apparently, I hadn't closed it yet. Interesting.
Yeah, don't know why this occurred with the deliverables removed, deliverables added, but the only thing that changed, I think, was the number of tasks. New mission steal evidence, mission feature team 1 design dev had 3, now they have 1. And
I wonder if it was like a clerical thing and maybe like switch teams, or the team was like rebuilt or something, and so they had to delete it and add it again.
Could be. Either way, nothing removed, nothing added, but we had some deliverables. Oh wait, I'm looking at the wrong one.
Whoops. Yeah, you are. There you go. That's right. Which one were you looking at?
I was looking at the one for the 26th or whatever that was. All right.
So they do it again on the 26th.
Yeah. So for the Delta report for August 9th, So they added the new mission Steal Evidence, which
yeah.
I hope that this is one of those things where, yeah, it could just be them prototyping it with Security Post Korea, but man, I want other security posts. And I want these missions at other places. Like, let's branch out a little bit. This update was if I remember, it was the last of the upstream or downstream work, right? Getting added? No, last of the upstream.
Tell you.
Or sorry, yeah, last of the downstream. Because it's I don't remember. I remember when I looked at it, but yeah, they added a bunch of work, and it's mostly squadron stuff.
So that's a lot of downstream, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a lot of the Q2 or Q3? Oh, that would have been Q2. Last of the Q2.
Mm-hmm.
1, 2. Because we're late. So yeah, that would be the rest of the Q2, wouldn't have been?
No, it would have been the rest of the Q3 update for downstream. And some upstream, it looks like. But anyway, at least I'm glad to see that they're adding more work to actor status tier 2, because in the previous updates, work had been removed from it and there wasn't any work going on. And so they've scheduled more work for the active feature team on actor status tier 2. And actor status tier 2 is a pretty big update that I'm looking forward to. Looks at a variety of new elements such as hygiene, NPC status tracking, multiple bytes, DNA integrity, medical insurance, cybernetic limbs, and cloning. So it'll be really interesting to see how that work comes along.
I would love to get a nutrition system.
Mm-hmm.
To make cooking.
You need to stop eating candy.
Well, what's to make a player choose to work on cooking or to just grab the meal bars?
Mm-hmm.
What gives high scale restaurants, because they talked about high scale restaurants in the building interior video. Or I think it was CitizenCon, whatever it was. What makes those high scale restaurants necessary? Are they just food with set dressing, or are they higher scale gets you higher nutrition? And nutrition is not a necessary number, but you get a little bonus for your a little bonus to like how good it heals or does saturation because of the quality of nutrition it does. I should do how I design on that. Making a note.
So they removed some of the work for the USPU gameplay feature team, which is now going to be the North American gameplay feature team for Bounty Hunter V2. Obviously, there's still a lot more work going on for the landing zone and mission feature teams, but you can see it ends right here. It was supposed to essentially go out to here. So when they get the new schedule for the North American gameplay feature team, they'll probably add in work for Bounty Hunter V2. So we'll have to keep an eye on that, of course. Bug fixing and tech debt. Lots of chapter work, of course, on Squadron. And let's get down here. So cutting tier 2. Glad to see the weapon feature team added more work to cutting tier 2. That's good to see. I wonder if the cutting tier 2 work is in any way, shape, or form associated with the work on the physicalized damage system that they're working on, the Maelstrom. Yes.
What was the first one? To Maelstrom? Hold on. Better Hunter V2 Maelstrom. Remind me again what Maelstrom is.
Maelstrom's the physicalized damage system, the physics-based damage system.
Yes. Okay.
So I was like, oh, okay, cutting tier 2, they're adding, the weapon feature team added more work. So essentially the weapon feature team is the people who, work on the weapons and the features that they do. That includes, the handheld cutting tool. And maybe we'll get a ship-based one as well, but they're adding more work to cutting tier 2. So that means that the system that the cutting tier 2 will interact with has been getting enough work where they are able to continue to work on the feature regarding that weapon or those weapons or tools.
I would really like to get an episode or a CitizenCon presentation, something, because the last time they explained specifically cutting tier 2, they said it's a free form cutting, but it will only certain surfaces. So my brain instantly went to Portal, where you can only portal on specific surfaces, but it's free form. So far, the only cutting thing we've seen is the cutting tier, little lock like things where you cut through.
Yeah, and
I want to see what tier 2 is like. It can you break something like a wall down or part of a ship off, or is it going to be a much more situational, like I through a fence? Like what's their scale of gameplay they're looking at applying this to?
Yeah, like I automatically go towards cutting through doors, in order to breach. But like, what if it's not the door? What if you just want to cut through the wall?
Yeah.
Can
doors
we
have
do
manual
that?
overrides?
Well, yeah, I mean, you could do it that way, or you could just cut through the door.
Or you just cut through the door. Close the blast doors.
That's peak sci-fi. They've jammed the mechanism. We just cut right through, and
lightsaber.
Yep. Weapon feature team adding more work to the ammunitions and distortion propagation. Character art getting done for dusters and enemy characters for squadron. Ooh, the fire extinguisher. So that's weird when it says end date has been extended, but they freed up 2 days of work.
Sorry, for which one?
For the fire extinguisher. And the date is in the past. So I don't know.
As far as I know, isn't fire not done? That's the wrong word for anything in Star Citizen. But like,
they made a lot of progress. I mean, it looked good the other day on the VFX.
The way they were talking about with the VFX ISC was just everyone else is done with it. This is us just making it look pretty.
Yeah, it is fire. The fire propagation system, it seems to be online, and they were waiting until it was essentially done for them to do the rest of their VFX work to make it look pretty. So I'm hoping that we'll see more of that soon. But the fire propagation system is tied into the room system and the atmosphere system for resource management. So hopefully they're going to pick up work on the fire extinguishers soon, because we're going to need them if fire's coming along.
I can't imagine that it's not done though.
I don't know. I mean, the asset is probably done, but
that's been done and done again.
Yeah, how fire extinguishers are used, what the VFX looks like, the sounds and audio. There could be more work for that. We don't know.
It says all tasks required to implement functioning fire extinguishers in game. This feature will work alongside the fire hazard system. And then the bar currently ends in June.
Yep.
Ended in June. I don't know. I think whatever is necessary for whatever first version of Fire we have, I would venture to say that would be done.
I'm just looking forward to having it.
Picking stuff off walls, kind of like Starfield.
Yeah. Start fire, put out fire. Start fire, put out fire.
And we're going into pyro. So pyro, fire. Pyro means fire.
I want to get the firefighting skill in the new fire system, so I'm just going to game the system by starting fires and putting them out. Yeah.
Oh my.
Freight elevators, people will be like, "Oh, they took work off." No, this again, the US gameplay feature team turning into the NA gameplay feature team. This work will be added back on. The question is, will we see freight elevators before the end of the year?
I mean, it says freed up work, but still goes out to December.
Yeah. Well, for the Landing Zone 2 team. So
okay, I see.
Yeah.
I see.
So
yeah,
but because it was the gameplay feature team working on it, it's not systemic services and tools anymore, or audio or other teams. It's the people who are getting ready to implement the feature into the game and make it work alongside with the people placing them in the landing zones, EU landing zone 2 team. So
I think 4.0 might be way bigger than it is.
Gosh, I don't know. It's hard to know because I feel like we're going to get a 321, and 321 is just going to be remember when when 315 was its own branch, and then they did 316 for the Q4 patch, and it was on the 315 branch, and they just added in some features that they couldn't get in the 315.
If we get another 0.5, but actually it's its own major number, regardless of the stuff that goes into whatever patch that is, I think 4.0 is not going to be really finalized. As far as finalized go, I'm pretty sure they're going to try and get an EVA Kami build with server mesh by the end of the year.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure of that at this point. But I think 4.0, the 4.0 update, is going to have resource management. It's going to have obviously server meshing and pyro. It possibly will have actor status v2. And like there's these bigger kind of things that are in this weird is it done state. They're in a late stage, but we don't know if they're done. And I think 4.0 might end up being really big if some of those things coincide. Like even just server meshing and management, like it's insanely huge.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm very anxious for CitizenCon. Like it's
oh yeah.
they've
you and me both
held so many things off. It's good thing we have 2 days.
Yeah, so many things that have had so much work that has been worked on, like right here. Map and radar system rework. They have been working on that for ages and shown us nothing of it. If they don't show us the new star map, I'm gonna have a stroke.
I really hope that the haters of CitizenCon demos did not sway what they show at CitizenCon demos, because I love, and I keep getting a stronger opinion as I talk about it. I love CitizenCon demos being holistic, this is our goal type video. Mm-hmm. A lot of people are like, CitizenCon demos are never really thing because it's in CitizenCon demo. One, basically everything from the Microtech demo we got except for the mission and the lab coat. I think everything else is in. NPCs walking on ships, that's in. The Carrack is in. Pyro is in. Like, the only thing that's not in is the mission that they went on. And Pyro, but that was a tease for Pyro anyway. But if they were able to make, and what were we just talking about? Oh, a map. The map's there. If they were able to bring together every part of the game that's in a showable state into a demo, so mapping, new UIs, MFDs, UFG, UFG, new ship, NPCs working, pyro. Like, if they were able to take all the technology that's like in a showable, not a done, but a showable state, and put that into a demo, oh, it'd be so good. It'd be so good. I hope they do some sort of goal, not this is what the 321 is going to look like.
Yep. I think 321's going to be a good patch to hold us over. I think that I think 321, obviously, we're not even confirmed that we're going to get one. I think we're going to get one in order to hold us over while 4.0 is going through its paces. But I think 321 is going to have vehicle tractor beams and the cargo elevators, freight elevators.
I think we're going to get, before the end of the year, we're going to get, either it's major or not, a point patch, because they've already confirmed a point patch is coming.
Yeah.
And that's...
Well, I know we're going to get a point patch for CitizenCon. We'll get a point patch for IAE. I just think that we'll get another patch on the 320 branch. That way they don't have to do more work for it.
I think we'll get one more major patch, whether that be by the end of this year or beginning of next year, because server mesh, or not servers, 4.0 will take forever. And it's going to be a big patch. It's going to take a lot of time. And it's going to be that, it's going to be in PTU for 1 or 2 quarters. So if they just give us the 320.5 for Q4, with the several points in between, that will lead up to a good amount of content, plus SysIncon, plus IE for the end of the year, and just leave that for the end of the year. Q1 next year, we get the 321, and then Q2 next year, we start to see if we can get either a pull patch where they did what they did with 319, see if they forward, or do we stick it out and wait for 4.0? Like, that's currently what kind of seems like a good idea to me. Because 4 is going to take so long. 4 is going to take a long time. So, yeah, I don't really doubt there's another patch. Another whole patch. I just don't know if it's going to be this year.
Mm-hmm. The squadron, or the map and radar system rework, got a lot more work added. And obviously they're just filling it all the way out to the end of Q3. So this isn't when it's going to be done, but the fact that they've got that much work scheduled from the feature team and the UI feature team is good, because it's not UI tech, it's the UI feature and the Squadron 42 feature team. So this is, Shiori Katsuni, we're just talking about the potential for a 321 as like a Q4 patch. But having the Squadron 42 feature team, working on the UI just means that the map and radar system, they're playing with it, they're using it, they're balancing it, they're saying, hey, we needed to do this, hey, we need to do that, this doesn't work very well, adjust this. That's what you can get out of that work.
Comparing Star Citizen and Starfield is just going to be an ongoing thing with everything Star Citizen right now, and Starfield probably. But, and I don't know if this is a thing, I couldn't find a button for it. Is there an interior map for buildings in Starfield?
The lack of a map was driving me nuts, because so
it's not just me. Okay, I'm like, even if there's a fog of war on the map, I should be able to pull up where the flipping hallways went.
Yeah, you pull up the map and it's just a bunch of, it's a dot pattern, and there's something over here, something over here, something over here, but there's no terrain.
It doesn't zoom in far enough. Like,
it doesn't show you anything on the map.
Okay, so it's not just me. Okay, good. Because, I'm like, that's the planet. I need the area, like, where I am, the building I'm in. That is not a hard system. Come on.
Shiori Katsuni,
anyway.
they were aiming for 320 to be out earlier, so it's a moot point. And who knows how long it'll take to get through PTU. I think a couple more weeks, but
I don't know if either of us has seen that video access.
Seen what?
Apparently there was a Chris Sandy video posted to Bilibili, which apparently is like,
I'm waiting for a reliable
killing
translation.
The internet. Like, every major place, like conversation area that I see, somebody's bringing up something that was said by a YouTuber. I'm gonna call them YouTubers on Billy. A Billy tuber. I don't know what they're called. Content creators on Bilibili. Basically, it's the. Is it Chinese?
I don't know. I don't know anything about it.
We'll just call it Asian YouTube for now, because I don't know which origin it is. But dang, he is picking up some serious steam over there.
Shiori Katsuni, when I say 321, I say just another whole numbered patch built on the 320 branch. Just like they did for 316, which is built on the 315 branch. Just like 319 is this, just a whole numbered patch built on the 318 branch, where you have way less QA to do in order to get the patch out. You're just adding in things that were already being built on that branch and are built on that code branch, and then you're just, hey, these weren't done, we're going to add them in now because now they're done. Like the vehicle tractor beams are, we're going to get into that right here when we get to that part of the SITREP, but the vehicle tractor beams are very far along, and they were probably targeting a 320 release but aren't going to make it, and we already know that they were targeting the SRV release later this year, and so it just makes total sense. Hey, couldn't make it for 320, just needs like 2 more months, 3 more months, whatever.
That's the one I thought of. Trespassing.
Then they can get it. Yeah, vehicle trespassing. Then they can get it at 321. Not a whole new, brand new giant patch with a whole bunch of other features or anything like that. Just a whole numbered patch built on the previous branch. It's essentially a 320.x, but with a feature that was already well into production. This whole year has been scuffed with what they're planning, and at this point in time of the year, I'm in full doom morale that we ain't getting shit this year. I don't think so at all.
We got PES. The entire game changed.
Yeah.
Nobody gives that, or not. Sorry, not nobody. Not enough people give that enough credit. Like, your crap stays around. You go find your body when it actually spawns correctly. But like, that's crazy. We have on ground firefight with MPs now. That was again this year.
It's hey, CR said this of what he was hoping for, and it's like, okay, great. He said that the year's not over yet. 320 isn't even out yet. We know that certain things are being worked on,
and traditionally,
I'm not too worried about it. And with what they're going to show us at CitizenCon, it might not be in this year. It'll be close. So it's whatever. Like for me, I'm excited for vehicle tractor beams and the variants that we're getting.
The thing I'm most excited for
I think we're going to see a 321 just because it's going to be a 320 patch. It's going to be a 320.x named 321. That's what I'm saying. Just like 319 was a 318 patch. 316 was a 315 patch. It's just going to be a whole numbered patch built on the same branch.
The thing I'm most excited for tractor beams is actually not the vehicle tractor beams themselves, but the nerfing of the hand tractor beam.
Nerfing of the hand tractor beam, giving me the two-handed tool.
Yeah, the industrial one, like I appreciate the vehicle ones coming in their place, but I'm so tired of the do-it-all gun that is the multi-tool.
Yeah.
So sick of it.
Speaking of the multi-tool, there's a military multi-tool in Squadron.
Yeah, I really like that. Like, there's a Moby Glass. There's a military Moby Glass. Like, it's super cool. There's a military. Too bad there's not like an army and a navy variant, or maybe there'll be like different skins for them. Because I'd love just like to have some like army versus navy pissing contest, and just like when we have a blue one, when we have a camo one, like.
So, the Mission Manager app, gameplay feature team free to work. It'll get put back on once they put the new team on there. I'm looking forward to seeing this new Mission Manager app, especially because we're getting all these new missions, and all these new missions are in production. Oh, that's the other thing in 321. More missions. They'll just add in more missions because they can put in new missions at any time.
The platforms would be in that as well.
Well, the platforms are still scheduled for a 320.x, but there's if you look for it said they're still tentatively scheduled for 320.x, but if you look at the sprints for all the new missions that they added at the previous Roadmap Roundup, they all go out into mid Q4 for the most part. So there's a good chance we could see a number of new mission types added either during the 320, either in the 320 branch, if like 321 is part of the 320 branch. Moby Glass rework, mother of God. That and the map and radar system, I guarantee you they're going to show us that at CitizenCon because they've done so much work on it.
This is what I'm talking about. Write down my wish list.
Yeah, your wish
for
list
CitizenCon.
The NPC
like
scheduler service.
One of my biggest features of I don't even know why I said feature, but things I want to happen at CitizenCon is not necessarily something that happens at CitizenCon. It's something that they say is going to start happening, and that's the return and the regularly scheduled monthly briefing room.
I would not be surprised.
They have all this tech that they're like, this is for Squadron. Can't touch it yet, not till it's done. The card system, the map system, new vehicles, variants of vehicles, locations, conversation systems, pathing systems, optimizations, X, Y, and Z briefing room. Like, the first briefing room was so good. It was so good. And I just want that. And monthly, because I want it to keep that quality bar. That, like, hey, we're talking about a whole feature, not here's an update on X feature, of a whole feature. I really like that.
But the NPC scheduler service being worked on by Systemic Services and Tools, they had 27 days worth of work. It'll get added. Will it get added to the economy team?
Dun, dun, dun.
Will another team get made that will handle these sorts of things? Because is that really the economy? Is it, or
I wonder if all the
do they call that
NPC
the economy?
AI stuff is going to be given to the AI teams, content feature tech teams. Because once the AI tech team is done with Squadron, then they don't need to really work on it at all ever, and they'll have very little work for episode 2, 3. So unless they make the tech team go away, it would have to be Star Citizen AI tech. So that would make sense if they give NPC scheduler to the AI tech team.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's tech for the AI. So that's my current hypothesis on the single paragraph that we read. That anything that doesn't fall under economy would be given to AI, because that's the system that it touches.
Mm-hmm.
Even though like all the systems, and they've said that many shows, all the systems have hooks in all the other systems, so everyone has to talk to everyone. It's just who owns it.
Let's see. So
Plasma.
Yeah, plasma ammunition. More work for weapon feature team. So the weapon feature team was just finally getting their schedule.
Do we have weapons for all these new ammunitions, or are the new weapons, or are we going to need new weapons made for all of these ammunition types they've been working
Never
on?
said. I don't know. If there's mention of it, I'm not aware. I mean, like,
just give me
plasma, I would assume is like an energy cannon type thing, maybe, but we don't know. We'll have to wait and see.
Well, it's also sticky. Normally, when you see plasma, they're sticky, so it will hit if it's a ship gun, it will hit the side of the ship and then like gel, and burn the whole of the ship. So it's much more of a hit the surface and burn the surface
melt armor
instead of. Oh yeah. But when I think plasma, I think more of a surface damage and not hurt the inside. Like you take a lot of its health out, but you don't damage the deep parts of it. Unless it's
it doesn't penetrate.
Mm-hmm. Plasma, isn't that what we already well as in lasers? No. Light lasers are different than plasma cannons. Plasma is a substance. Well, it's a state of matter. Lasers are light. So it's two different states of the matter. No, light's not a state of matter, is it? No. Plasma is a state of matter. Light is light, and bullets are solid state of matter.
Larger weapons of this type will also leave behind a hazard, causing further damage to anything in close proximity.
That was the plasma
This will fulfill the original vision we had for the plasma weapons we already have in game, and those we have planned in the future. Okay, so we have plasma-based weapons. They just don't do plasma ammunition stuff.
We have plasma weapons?
No. Cannons? I thought we had plasma cannons, but
CAR.
like they don't do anything different other than it cause X number of damage. That's the other thing they need to show us a lot more of at CitizenCon is the new player interaction experience, because there's tier 0 through tier 2, and they showed us some of it last year, and there's definitely a lot more to share. That's the big thing with like 4.0. Everybody's all about server meshing and pyro. Really what we need between now and 4.0 and 4.1, 4.2 is adding in all these new quality of life or factors, tier 1, tier 2 of this and that, to make the game feel like a more finished and polished experience.
Yeah, for sure.
The map and radar system, the mobiGlas and its apps, the HUD and AR markers, the visor and HUD helmet, the MFDs, all those things are such huge quality of life things and functionality things that will make such a big difference in how you play the game, that it'll feel like a much different game compared to last year. Even if it's still buggy and there's still desync, it will look and play like a much different, much more polished game. And that because it's basically taking, hey, here's how you interact with the game for a finished game like Squadron, and porting it over into Squadron or Star Citizen, and then you still have desync, but at least the way you play the game is more polished and finished. What we can expect going into the future, not the what we have now is not what we're going to have in the future. We're past that. That's what I'm looking forward to.
So the only plasma cannons in the game are Vanduul cannons. So they only exist probably in Everything Commander on the Vanduul ships, if not the Asperia-esque Vanduul ships. There we go. So all they're called is Warlord Cannon and Wraith Cannon.
Yeah. So nothing new of note, just the work coming off in order to go back on when the new teams come up there for Pyro, the quantum simulation. Active feature team added more work for seated item handling. That'll be so much fun once that's in. There are so many cool ground vehicles. Yeah. Sliding movement, space mines. Okay, so this is another one of those things with the weapon content team. It's like a late update. They removed some work on that, so hopefully we'll see work added to space mines in the future, but it sounds like it's shelved for the time being. Squadron 42 vehicle support. This is just them polishing and doing gold standard work on the vehicles and ships in Squadron. Again, virtual AI service. Does that count? Under the economy, are they going to put that under the economy, or is it going to be something else? Or is this hey, this is what we had planned for the rest of it, and then that feature is going to be done other than polishing, and we're moving on to the economy? We don't know if that's some sort of signal about the quantum simulation. But yeah. So let's move on to the Roadmap Roundup for August 23rd. So that was that last Wednesday? Yeah, last Wednesday. Not 2 days ago Wednesday, but the week before Wednesday. So Nazeris, why don't you go ahead and take us away? And there's not a whole lot to this one. There's nothing on the Shiny Tracker, so.
Oh, because this is no. Oh, I see what I did. I see what I've done. How he has the things laid out on Shiny is it's if on the page toppers things, the links to forward and backwards, it's delta scheduled, delta scheduled, delta.
Yep.
It's not, you can't just click through, you can't use those to tab over the reports or the scheduled deliverables or the delta things. It's both. Yeah. That's the same thing. Were there two? Did I think? No. Do the thing. Gosh dang it, I changed Windows again. Podcast. There we go. All right, we're now doing the August 23rd. There we go. We did it. I did it. I found the button. And you want me to read which one? Which part?
Roadmap Roundup 823.
You want me to read the same header again?
Yeah, if you want.
Okay. All right. So
consistency, man.
This is the. Yeah, I figured we'd just read the one for all three if they didn't change it. So, Again, this is another document straight from CIG. So, happy Wednesday, everyone. Every 2 weeks, we accompany the roadmap with an update, with a roadmap update with a brief explanatory note to give you insight into the decision-making that led to any changes. This is part of an effort to make our communications more transparent, more specific, and more insightful for all of you who help make Star Citizen and Squadron 42 possible. With that said, let's go ahead and dive into this weekly roadmap roundup. Notable changes for August 23rd. Release view. The following cards have been added to the release view in the 320 column, targeting a launch with Alpha 320 and X. Not Twitter or Elon's son 320 X, and they don't know what it is. He makes them so easy to hate. He makes it so easy. E1, we know. Nah, stop. What?
Well, so the A1 is on the release view. It's scheduled for 320.x. Now they are adding the C1 for 320.x as well. And
which is interesting because we've done the reports and we know the C1 is a step or two behind the A1. Mm-hmm. While the A1 went into final art, the C1 was finishing gray box, I believe.
Yep.
So that's 2 steps behind. So that gives us a good timeline on how late they're thinking the 320 branch to go.
Yeah.
If the A1's not even in yet.
Yeah. Well, the A here we go. So roadmap. Put that right there. And release view. Ships and vehicles. Wheeled vehicle handling improvements. Tumble Storm. Crusader C1 and A1 Spirit. Hull C is the only one that's committed along with the wheeled vehicle handling improvements. But in previous, when they added the they did add the in the roadmap roundup where this was added, for July 26th is when they said the A1 would be for 320.x. Whether that's CitizenCon or IAE, who knows? Probably doesn't matter because it's literally only 3 weeks apart anyway.
Yeah.
Because CitizenCon is towards the end of October this year. But so these are the vehicles we know of for the latest monthly report. I want to say, or the last time we heard about the A1, it was in final art. I don't remember if it was Lot 0 or they were even farther beyond that. But the C1 is now in the more recent monthly report. Actually, I've got here. Let's see. That's July. Let's see. C1. There we go. The Crusader Area 1 progressed through final art with a handful of LODs remaining for its interior and exterior damage. This is the July monthly report. Work also continued on the C1 Spirit cargo variant, with the main differences being minor exterior changes and the cargo room, the latter of which is currently progressing through gray box. So the rest of the ship is has very little different. And so that's, they're working on that. And so basically the cargo room's in gray box, but the rest of the ship is largely done, other than a few things. So it's really not far behind, essentially a step. And this is as of the end of July, so over a month ago. And we're still over 2 months out from IAE. Ooh, 1.3 minutes of ads. Sorry.
Wow.
So let's see.
So
that's
really interesting.
Yeah, they're so unreliable with the ads. So,
are we gonna be talking about funding? You keep pulling up the funding.
I'm gonna get to that here in a second. So
okay. I keep forgetting. I'm trying to say because traditionally the CitizenCon patch or the patch right after CitizenCon is 1, good for content, 2, big on ships, whether that be new ships or ships we knew about just releasing. Normally it is big on ships, whether that comes in October, November, December, whatever comes after it traditionally last 3 years, it big on ships, like 4 to 5 ships, like plus. So if we have these 3 already on the roadmap, and they are notorious for saying, no, we're not talking about CitizenCon, I would venture to guess that would be the 21 patch. With like, hey, here's 5 more ships. And then the balance teams are just over in the corner crying. They have 5 more ships to try and balance.
IAE is going to be thick with new ships, because not only is it new ships, but also ships with variants. We know there's a crap ton of variants in production right now. Yeah. So
Jack's return.
Yep, it's going to be really interesting. So,
for freaking honesty, Jax, you stole a prototype. How dare you?
Yeah.
He stole it, then blew it up. Like, I hope Misk keeps good records.
So there isn't anything to added for the change for the progress tracker on the Delta report for the August 23rd Roadmap Roundup, but I wanted to bring up the CCU game really quick before we get into the SITREP. And so this is obviously the thing that tracks this is the funding tractor on CCU. We just crossed over the $600 million. We're just over $601 million now.
Wow.
Yeah. So,
yep.
And I wanted to bring this up because obviously for August 23rd, they said C1 Spirit, Tumble Storm added at 320.x. So, IAE most likely, and or around that time. Along, we've got the A1, the whole C is going to be going on sale, of course. We know that there's a bunch of variants in production and unannounced. So there's going to be a lot of new things for sale at IAE. Yeah, so I agree, Shiori Katsuni. I think we're going to be very light on concepts, because the other thing that's really interesting to me is, let's see. If we go down here to vehicle concept art, they ain't had nothing going on with this team in forever. I asked Jake about that, and he's like, yeah, there aren't new concepts being made right now. At least by concept art, as in like there are unannounced things in production, plenty of those, but this team has not had any new work in ages. So I don't know what's going on with this team, but we do have unannounced things in production.
That's right. We are still supposed to get the stupid medium RSI miner.
Large, but yeah.
Large? It's a large miner?
They said large, yeah.
Dang.
So, you've got this one for the EU vehicle content team. This is back here. There's unannounced things that are in production or have been in production. So it'll be interesting to see. But we in the monthly reports for the last couple months, they've been talking about a lot of variants. And so I think we're going to see a lot of these variants at I guarantee you we're going to get 2 variants at CitizenCon. The cutter variants. Sorry, spoilers. But I guarantee you we're going to get more variants at IAE, and not just what we're talking about with the A1 and C1. But I wanted to bring this up because a lot of people have been talking about like the funding and CIG. The people. There's a lot of doom scrolling for that guy who got laid off. Well, there's literally 2 guys that got laid off, and one of them was a marketing guy whose job got moved to the U.S. and he didn't want to move to the U.S., so they laid him off. He wasn't, not for downsizing. The other guy was a QA position that was getting moved to Montreal. Got laid off. So not a big thing.
And neither of them was salty about it.
No, not at all. And so, it was just restructuring, given that they acquired Turbulent. That's totally normal for large companies. And it sucks, a couple people get laid off because their job is now redundant.
A lot of the concept guys, well, at least for the art side of the concepts, not the design, are freelance. Like a lot of the people who come in for the concept art is freelance.
Gavin Rothery.
You can see that because if you go on ArtStation and find the concept work, one, they're all freelance. Two, they've worked on several games, notably both Star Citizen and Star Atlas. Like almost every person who's done a Star Citizen concept art in the past 8 years has also done ship concepts for Star Atlas. So spaceship talent is apparently, well, Star Atlas is still also trying to like copy Star Citizen word for word, but anyway, it's fine. But yeah, they're freelance and they can be hired once the designers say, hey, here's a new ship, go do. Another note that I had for the funding is altogether, not including this month because this month's not over, so we can't have the numbers correct. We are at -8% for the entire year. That is not significant. Not significant at all.
We're -8% off of this year, which was up over 33% from this year. So everybody keeps looking at 2022 as the bar, what we have to beat. Because if CIG doesn't beat this, then they're in trouble. No. If you go back and you read the financial report for for 2021, you see how much money they made. They made a profit. They were in the black for this year, and they made $86 million on ship sales. Plus, they have other revenue. Basically, they had over $100 million come in 2021, and it was like 130 something million all total in 2022. Well, their operating costs didn't skyrocket up by 33% in that year. CIG was not expecting these sales for 2022.
Yeah, they paid a lot of taxes that year.
Yeah, this is why they bought Turbulent, because in order to shelter some of that money, they bought Turbulent, and acquired them and brought them into the fold. And now so
you can't sell promises, but
yeah,
EA's a pro at selling promises and then not delivering anything. So like, you can definitely sell promises. I still buy concepts. Everyone still buys concepts. The people who don't buy concepts are a minority at this point.
Yeah.
Like, even if people are buying at-release shit, and CIG has said, like, they really would like to stop selling concept art, but they sell, so they keep selling them. They would like to transition to the point
there is less.
Yeah, they would like to transition to where they're not doing it anymore, buying them. So they tried to kind of stabilize a bit with, here's a concept art, but here's a straight to flyable.
Mm-hmm.
And try and balance.
There are far few concepts now versus straight to flyables. Or if they do release a concept, it's, hey, here's the concept. It's already in production though.
Right.
Here's this concept. It's
they haven't
in
done
white
that.
box, gray box.
I mean, they didn't do it with the Expanse. There's been a lot of concepts coming out in the past 3 years that
I wouldn't call that a lot though. That there's only been a handful compared to how many have been released or are in production.
Yeah, that's true. More have
compared to years prior.
New concepts has been coming out than in years prior. Yeah, and they've been working on their backlog a lot. Like I keep going back to that the image of the release ships by year kind of thing. I keep going back to the image. They're doing pretty good on their backlog stuff, and they keep working on the Polaris. Is supposed to be in like full production now, so that's going to be another tick off the box. The Idris is basically done at this point. Hull CD and E, no, D, KB, C, D and E, B, D and E are just the same as the C, so they're probably not going to work on that until we get at least another system. There's no need for them. We know where the Endeavor is. We know where the Javelin is. Where the Orion is like the jewel on top of the mining system. So once the mining system is mature, they'll put that in. Like, we know we're waiting on two-wheel tech, which is behind very busy people for the Rangers. The G12 is kind of an odd one because we don't really know why we don't have the G12 yet, because it's Ursa / Cyclone type ship just again.
Oh, I bet you the G12 will get put into production next year, just to say that they did after the X1 is done. Because it's
I wouldn't be shocked if it's one of the same devs or the same dev.
Yeah.
No.
One of the
cat, no.
Give it to one of the new content teams. So I wanted to bring up the CCU game real quick because I think IAE is going to be huge just for the amount of new ships and the number of variants, because variants sell really well. But I wanted to remind everyone that this is not the number that CIG needs to beat in order to be in the black. Plus, it's actually a lot larger because they have other monies that come in.
Not to mention, like, look
this
at
number.
19. 19 was good.
It's this number 20. Plus about 15-20%. And so, like, say 20% of $86 million, that's 16, and we'll call it 16 and some change. So it'll be a little bit less. Well, that puts you at just over $100 million right here. So we don't need to get to 110, 130, whatever it ended up being the grand total. We need to get to that sort of split the difference point right here in the middle, because this is about how far their operating costs have grown with the hiring that they've done since the end of 2021. Look at where we are compared to 2021 at the same time. As of the end of August 2021, they were at $44 million or so.
I think there's still a chance to close the gap. I think there's still a chance to be bigger than last year.
I don't think it'll be bigger than last year. I think it's going to be close. Yeah.
There's 2 announcements at CitizenCon that could absolutely make people buy every.
Yeah. Oh, it could. It very well could. I've just
shockingly complete state and a release date for Squadron. If those things happen, they're going to beat last year. Easy.
I don't know if they'll beat last year unless they start doing, even with pre-orders for Squadron, I don't think it's going to make a ton of money. I think the big thing will be IAE.
No.
And I think that they have all these variants scheduled for IAE to make a lot of money. But either way, they don't need to beat this number. It's important for them to beat this number by a percentage in order to stay in the black and continue this normal trajectory, because they had this. Yeah. This year is an anomaly. This is the trajectory that they were planning on. Obviously, things went nuts going into 2020, but in 2020 is when they made those plans for their hiring. For Manchester and everything like that, and they were making those plans based off of this trajectory. Well, this trajectory got all thrown off right here, so they had extra money, so they bought Turbulent. They're expecting this trajectory to continue to here. And so they went from 78 million to 86 million. That's a 10% increase. 10% increase of 86 million over that would be, close to 100 million. So that's right about here. Say it's a little bit more. That's totally doable, because in August of 2021, they're at 44 million. Here we are at the end of August in 2023, and we're at over 60 million. We're $15 million ahead from then. And we have beaten 2021 for almost every month this year, other than this last month. And going into September and CitizenCon in October, and then IAE, I think we're just going to absolutely smoke 2021. So we'll just have to wait and see. But the doom scrolling is totally out of context, because people don't look at the funding track or the funding tracker. People don't look at the financial reports. People don't know how much CIG costs to operate.
And I'm not necessarily even saying that the pre-orders are going to close the gap, but for some reason, when Star Citizen gets wins, it's money in whatever area, whether that be ship concepts or items being bought, goes up.
Oh yeah.
So if they have a win announcing Squadron, I'm not saying that the money they get for Squadron orders are going to go up, but people will buy ships because the overall trust in the company kind of goes up, gets a big boost. And so that makes people buy stuff. For some reason, numbers go up.
Yeah, if CitizenCon is good, if CitizenCon is what everybody is a appreciable fraction of what we all hope it is, I think that they're going to give 2022 a run for their money, because we're literally we're just over 60, just over 60 million. at the same time last year, we were like at 66 million. We're only 6 million behind. It's really not that
8%.
big. Yeah,
8%. That's all we're behind.
Yeah. And last year did not have an in-person CitizenCon that was 2 days long. We could easily catch up. So everybody just wait and see. Hold on. So let's get on to the SITREPs. So if you haven't seen a SITREP before, SITREPs for us are where we give a situation report. We are updating you on the development of a particular feature or piece of tech or something like that CIG is working on that we have previously covered and talked about the development of. So we're going to do 3 SITREPs tonight, kind of. The first one is going to be on vehicle tractor beams. So we first covered vehicle tractor beams. Let's see, this was
second episode.
When we first covered vehicle tractor beams in episode 3 on April 4th, 2022. Uploaded to my channel December 28th, 2022. It was a scanner anomaly that I did called "She Thinks My Tractor Beam is Sexy." And so I'm going to put the link to it in chat if you wanted to go back and rewatch for nostalgic purposes and see how far Nazeris and I have come. But there's also good information in the show notes that's still relevant. But there's been a lot of information updates since. We did a SITREP on vehicle tractor beams only 4 months ago. Just because there hadn't been anything in a while.
What's up?
What on earth? Aether Drift, what are you talking about? Ha ha ha, does she now?
Your title of your episode, buddy.
Oh, yeah. Yes. I was like, what are you talking? Well, I thought he was responding to North End Trooper because North End Trooper was talking about, we had the big balloon launch thing downtown this week. They do them several days in a row. And so me and my family, we went down there and watched the balloons take off early in the morning on Thursday. And the kid loved it.
How does that relate at all?
Well, North End Trooper says when your 2-year-old goes, whoa, organically, worth it. Yeah, same. Yeah, Boone is just like, wow. Wow. That's how he says wow.
Nice.
Yeah, it's super, like, he sounds like a little miniature pothead. Wow.
Little bit of lore for everyone in chat saying Crusader should make a competitor to the Nomad. All other companies think Consolidated Outland's a joke, and they should go play in their own sandbox. They do not respect Consolidated Outland in the slightest. That's why they're like, the weird guys are like, we're going to let you build your house. We're going to give you a truck or a vehicle with an open cargo hold. Like, they are the quirky kids in the corner that take seriously at all. Even though they have a capital ship with the Pioneer. Nobody takes them seriously. No one's like, we're going to compete with Consolidated Outland. No, they're just going to say, we're way better than them. We're going to compete with actual company.
Speaking of the Nomad, though, the Nomad does have a vehicle tractor beam. So we did a SITREP. Nazeris covered hacking. I covered vehicle tractor beams back in the beginning of May 2023. And I did that because they had talked about vehicle tractor beams starting again at the beginning of this year, the first couple months of the monthly report. And then we got the tractor beams where they showed us in the sprint report the work on the SRV. And they also showed us the handheld tractor beams with the taking things on and off of ships. So we talked about that a little bit. And there's been some more information which is relevant to what we were talking about. And the reason I wanted to bring it up is because of this post that popped up a couple weeks ago. So John B. Hawkins said, "Why so quiet on ship tractor beams?" And I saw this because Jake replied to it. And I was like, why so quiet on ship tractor beams? And this came up literally the day after
what do you
Naz
mean?
and I had read a monthly report. Yeah, it's August 8th. So it was literally the day. And I'm like, We literally just had a monthly report that talked about shift tractor beams. Like, what on earth are you talking about? So
Jake
with
should
20
start
inbound,
replying with posts, just links to posts.
yeah,
like go
it just
read.
needs to be that Will Smith meme going like this, to a link or to a screenshot. But it says, why so quiet on ship tractor beams? With 320 inbound, why haven't we seen anything on ship tractor beams on ISC? No SRV previews for a good while. No in videos of any tractor beams being used. No dev work or talk about balance vids. Just silence. What's up, CIG and Jared? Is it such a riveting feature that y'all are saving it for CitizenCon?
Yes.
So yeah, they haven't shown it in ISC, but they've been working on it a lot. And
I almost guarantee the SRV is one of those like CitizenCon drops the SRV.
Yeah, I would not be surprised if the SRV is shown in a demo doing something in during the whatever demo they do, because we'll get to that here in a second. It's functional. It works.
Yeah.
So Jake says
they are
hey, vehicle,
playing the game.
Yeah. Hey, vehicle tractor beams are definitely in production currently, as shown on the progress tracker. However, they won't be in 320.0.
Ooh, he did make sure to say very nice.
So this is where Shuri we were talking about 320.1, or sorry, 321, 320.x. Whether they make it a whole patch or not, there's going to be a Q4 patch and they're going to add more stuff to it. I think Jake is very, very, very specific when he words things in order to he will never let you ever get him on a gotcha. And there's a reason he said this and not just 320. Because I think that they are targeting vehicle tractor beams for a 320.x or 321, and whether they just don't know what they're going to call the patch yet. And we won't get that, added to the release view until 320 releases. But we'll update you all on these once we're closer to their debut. So they're not close enough to the debut that they're going to appear in ISC. So it won't be in this season of ISC. It'll be in next season. Next season of ISC starts, like the third week of October. We'll probably get our first ISC after CitizenCon. So we'll get a big update on those probably right before they release in like November.
Even then, the CitizenCons after the ISCs after CitizenCon are mostly reviews.
Yep.
Like, hey, you just saw this at CitizenCon. Here's like either like broad, like general stuff, or like I don't know what was like. Basically, they don't really start talking about the next patch the couple after CitizenCon ISCs.
Yeah. Especially because IAE is coming up. So
right. So any vehicle stuff is kind of like if it was either talked about then, or we'll wait till like
they'll do an ISC on vehicle tractor beams and the SRV. I guarantee it. Hey, it's on the release view now. We know it's going to release on this day. Jared's going to talk about it. They're going to show it working in game. They're going to talk about how vehicle tractor beams work on the other ships. We'll talk about that more in a second. The other reply that Jake did, he just said, somebody said, if vehicle tractor beams will not be in 320, how is a group of pirates supposed to pirate a whole sea with 32 SU cargo boxes? Blah, blah, blah. Essentially, where you're still using the hand tool, got another buff and can move everything around. Just remember, everybody, it's not going to stay that way. This will be the case until vehicle tractor beams are released. So
and the industrial tractor beam handheld.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Gib.
Very
and so I wanted to reiterate a couple of things from the previous SITREP relative to this. But first, and I'm going to copy this link to you with the appropriate timestamp so you can see what I'm talking about, where we're going to watch this little clip and hear what Jared has to say about the Argo SRV.
And if you watched last week's ISC on the upcoming changes to tractor beams in Alpha 319 and beyond, you might have noticed the Argo SRV flying around in that Beyond section. Here's a closer look at its progress as it currently makes its way through final art towards a scheduled release later this year. Now for
scheduled release later this year, making its way through final art in March. So we'll
Wow.
look at some monthly report statements here in a second. So they were already planning on vehicle tractor beams releasing later this year alongside the SRV back at the end of March. And the SRV was already in final art at the end of March. So they've been planning this for a while.
Speaking of the links, I know it's a little bit off topic. You know what I hate most about the links? There's nowhere to use it.
Nowhere to use it?
There's nowhere to use a links. Because you don't use a links to drive out to a bunker. You use an Ursa because it has a gun on it. And it has like the open back thing. Like it has the trunk layer opening. I love the links. I want to use it, but there's no.
It's for sightseeing. That's all it is right now.
But there's no good sightseeing areas that you bring the links and not something else, like a bike.
If you're going to wear your top hat, you take the links. If you're not wearing your top hat, you take the Ursa.
But that means I need to get a driver top hat.
That's part of the dynamic economy. Okay, you have to.
Tony,
yeah, the Lynx does have a weapon.
You must ride in the Ursa or in your Lynx with a top hat.
The Lynx is armed though. It still has a turret.
Yeah, no, you have a point. It is for sightseeing, and there's plenty of places to sight. You need to choose it over other things. But like, I want nice areas to drive. Like, I want cities to drive in, or like villages or something. I want to drive around somewhere specifically high class.
You want to drive through a poor part of town and look down on all the peasants from your.
That's
links?
already in. That's around Hurston. They have outside their gates. I can already
there you
do
go.
that.
That's where you drive your links. That's gameplay. Anyway,
but like, I guess like probably the best place to think of is probably a Xi'an religious world. Because it's a planet of gardens, so I can see that. So if they allow vehicles there, might be a good place. Anyway, continue. Sorry.
Yeah. So for just to recap a couple of things and then get into the most recent monthly reports regarding vehicle tractor beams. So let's see. So this part for gameplay features in March of 2023, this was regarding the tractor beam updates that we got in 3.19 with being able to remove components and weapons and those sorts of things. The down here, wait, where was it? Oh, there was. Is this the wrong one? Yep, wrong one. Sorry. April 2023. My bad. So, this is the April monthly report for 2023. Art ships. The level of detail pass on the Argo SRV was completed. So this was after this Inside Star Citizen. Relating to this, a support pass for tractor beams began, which includes retrofitting the new vehicle tractor beam onto existing supported ships. It also involves ensuring that all valid components can be removed using the FPS tractor beam. And then there's more. So back in April is when they were getting started. The ship art team was getting started on where they are going to be able to put the new vehicle tractor beams on the ships that have them. But don't have them in game yet. Think the Cutlass, the Caterpillar, the Nomad, the Taurus, that sort of thing, in order to make them function.
Was the Taurus in game at this point? And did it come out this year?
Last year or year before. I think it was 2021.
Did it? Man, I'm late.
Yep. Let's see. Yeah, so that was it for that one. So that's April 2023. May 2023. Again, ship art. The team approached the end of their pass on vehicle tractor beams. So from April through May, so 2 months, the ship art team went through and basically made the attachment points work and attached vehicle tractor beams to all the ships that you have them in order to make them function. We're going to hear more about that here in just a second.
I'm 2 years late.
But yeah. This includes work on the Origin 315P, Drake Caterpillar and Cutlass Black, Consolidated Outland Nomad, and the Miscull C. I don't think they had to maybe do anything for the Taurus because it's a turret, and that turret was already there. So, but it isn't specifically mentioned. And so that was May 2023. Where's the June monthly report?
Speaking of, you may have forgotten your whole shtick for like introducing your stream. Yeah, you didn't talk about Stack Up all this time.
My what?
You didn't talk about Stack Up for the intro.
Oh yeah, no, I have not. I've been bad. Let's see. Oh, I think I accidentally closed the June monthly report. I thought there was something in there.
There was.
Hold on. There it is.
That very interesting image.
Yeah, so May they finished the ship art team finished their work on adding the vehicle tractor beams to the ships that had them. And then let's see. And then in this Star Citizen Live,
we have at the
this Star Citizen Live was also in the beginning of May, and they answered a few questions related to tractor beams. I'll just go through the answers real quick. Ship items can be added and removed with tractor beams. The team is aware there are still issues with this. Obviously, we know that. Players are free to load as many components and spares as they want aboard their ship. Hull-mounted beams on the outside of ships will still work internally. So we don't know how that's going to work yet. But think about the Caterpillar, for example. The tractor beam is meant to be a narrow and precise beam to avoid the throwing a net type collection. Each beam will have a mass carry limit. So your size 0, your size 1, size 2, size 3, it will be mass related. Each one will have a mass carry limit. This may be refined to have a beam specific to moving cargo and perhaps higher volume, but they are planning based on player feedback. So it's going to get a lot of balanced work done on it, but it's going to have mass and volume properties related to it. But they also there may be a specific beam, so it might be that the MISC tractor beams that are Xeon influenced may be for containers, or larger containers like the mining saddlebags and the 32 SCU containers, and the Gray Cat ones are more sort of a utilitarian one. We don't know. So that's what those questions are at here. And they're started right about this timestamp, 43:59 for Star Citizen Live Mining Salvage Tractors Oh My. That was May 5th, 2023. So June monthly report for the gameplay feature team. This is the USPU gameplay feature team. The people who take the tech after it's been built and the individual features and then combine them into the game in order to make sure they work and do all the balancing and get things functional before release. So the gameplay feature team, following the release of Alpha 3.19.1, the gameplay feature team began focusing on upcoming patches 320 and beyond. This included work on the vehicle tractor beams with relevant vehicles being set up to support the feature. So the artwork is done. The gameplay feature team is now making sure the tractor beams work on the vehicles and such. For example, the upcoming Argo SRV was tested internally and towed its first ships.
Oot.
And then July 2023. So this monthly report came out at the beginning of August, like the day before this guy made his freaking post. And here we are with consecutive monthly reports going back from March all the way to July of the vehicle tractor beams being mentioned, being worked on. And they haven't showed us the vehicle tractor beams being worked on other than that little tidbit, which was just visual conceptualization And I really think it's because they're going to save it for, this is going to be in CitizenCon, and they're going to do something cool with it. So again, the gameplay feature team, July 2023 monthly report. Gameplay features continued their work on the new vehicle tractor beam, which will also bring improvements to the existing tractor beams. So think your handheld tractor beams, both one hand and two hand. They did talk somewhere about the UI work. They're updating the UI for it to make it look even better and provide you with better information, make it more user-friendly. July's tasks included first iterative tests for core balancing and the UI. So they are implementing the UI and getting feedback on it for making it better before release. And they're working on the core balancing of vehicle tractor beams. So basically they're saying, okay, this size is too strong, this size is too weak, we need longer range, all that sort of stuff. So they're already working on the core balancing in July of 2023 with the gameplay feature team, who is the last team to work on a feature before it comes to release. This is coming out this year. I guarantee it. There's no way it doesn't come out this year. I'll eat my words if I'm wrong, but this is going to be a 320.x patch, because Jake was very specific to say right here, not 320.0. And it's very far along in development as a feature, and all the vehicles are just being tested and balanced right now. Yeah, so the tractors are done work. They're just adjusting numbers and what the player interacts with. Yep, adjusting the numbers and the UI so that way it's intuitive and getting it ready for release. So that is everything that I have on vehicle tractor beams for this SITREP. The next part of the SITREP is going to be on Quantum, because we have a little bit of information on Quantum that Naz is going to fill us in on. Northern Trooper says, off topic, playing Starfield, and I keep saying, man, I wish this game does this. Oh, wait, SC does this. Yeah. Naz and I went on a rant for about the first 30 minutes of the podcast. Not a rant. We were discussing our likes and dislikes and our initial feedback, because Naz and I are both about 5-6 hours into the game at this point. And I'm half of Naz's playthrough.
I'm 2 hours in, but I've done it for 5 hours.
Yeah. And a lot of Naz's playthrough I was watching and lurking on, and I'm like, oh my gosh, Naz and I are very much the same person. We play RPGs.
Man, when I can't get over the how I learned that NPCs don't react. Like in Skyrim, I was used to Skyrim. Like you steal something in Skyrim, the entire town's after you. But like I just like, I wonder what this is. Can I pull up an info thing on it? Yoink! I stole it. Oh no! Wait, no one said anything. What about this? Yoink! Nobody says anything. The next hour is me cleaning out the mining facility of anything that moves. Oh, it was so much fun. Okay, I'm upset. Sources keys down. All right. If I can navigate to quantum simulation. All right. So we've done at least one episode of talking about the quantum simulation. I think either independently or we've also mentioned it almost every episode we talk about. I know I've done my own independent also stream and videos on it. So we've gotten a lot of information. Well, we've got updates, not a lot of information, but a lot of updates on Quantum and its various services since the last time we talked about it officially on stream or on podcast, on Pathfinders words. So starting off the March 2023 monthly report.
I'm dropping the link to the video for when we first covered it back in December in the chat. So this is where we did the big
December
spectrum
22,
pulse on
by
it.
the way.
Yeah, December 22, sorry.
Yeah. So the first time we have it now mentioned in here was when, was it the first time that SST was in the monthly report?
So yeah, when this monthly report came out, this is the first time that SST had been in the monthly report since February of 2022. It had been over a year since they had been mentioned. So yeah, because I remember, because we're both like, what? Yeah.
Yeah, so it says SST alongside supporting 318, bug fixing, cargo, ASOF terminal. I think it's generic instance manager, game instance manager, Jim. Issues, the R&D team, services, tools, service beacon architecture updates. They also made progress on character creation screens, supported the USPU team, testing the new expo halls for the event, and specifically self-assumption editors, and worked with design on Quantum/Odin tool. How would we brain just continually stops working? Define Odin cleanly. Because Quantum is the whole system. Odin's part of that system.
Well, we can pull up the description for Odin on... Here, I'm going to... 1 second. Duplicate.
What? There's an Odin tile?
Yep. There is.
When did I miss that?
There was at one point.
Well, hold on. If there was, then I'll have it in my spreadsheet.
Oh, maybe it was a different named one.
Oh.
Part of the crew. Part of the ship. Part of the crew. Part of the ship.
Part of the ship.
Part of the crew.
Part of the crew. Part of the ship.
Part of the crew.
Part of the crew. Part of the ship. The Prisoner. Thanks for the follow. Thanks for joining us. Roy McAvoy Tin Cup. How much longer will you be on? We've probably got another, I don't know,
Hour to
45 minutes. Yeah. Well, we got to get through this SITREP, and then we'll talk a little bit about RaStar and the Procedural Locations Tool. Yeah.
Things saying Odin's here. I just don't see it.
Another follow. Thanks so much.
Part of the ship. Part of the crew. Part of the ship. Part of the crew. Part of the ship.
The Prisoner. Hail all. Is this the Starfield free zone? We were talking about Starfield earlier, but we got it out of our systems. We are going to do a special Starfield review podcast in a few weeks once we've had more time in the game and it's well out of release. But so currently Odin and other backend tools that display player or NPC locations route through Elasticsearch, which is CIG's analytics pipeline. Project's naturally slow. So I remember Odin, didn't it say Odin on the thing when they were using it during the CitizenCon presentation?
Yes.
Yeah.
That was the UI they were using.
Yeah.
I wonder if Odin, I'm pretty sure Odin's the skin. I'm pretty sure that's what Odin's the skin.
It's the tool that was feeding the information. Yeah.
It's the way that developers see Quantum.
Yeah. Yep, exactly.
So kind of like you use, I was going to use Premiere, but not everyone's used Premiere. You used a media player to see your music. You don't just look at files. But it shows like, the songs and artists and the length of it, the genre inside your whatever media editor. That is kind of what Odin is. It lets you see all the details, but in a way that's digestible by the user.
Oh shit, Red Monster SC just rated with a party of 70. Holy shit.
Oh, I'm not gonna
Thank you so
great.
Thank you so much for the raid, Red Monster. Much appreciated. That is so very kind of you. Welcome everybody. Thanks for joining us. So Nazeris and I are midway through what we call a SITREP, which is where we just give the watchers and listeners an update on the development news on a particular feature that we have previously covered in a Spectrum Pulse or scan anomaly. So I just got done covering vehicle tractor beams and what we've gotten over the last several months in the monthly reports and other sources. And Nazeris is talking about the recent updates that we've had regarding the quantum simulation. And then after that, we're going to be talking about RaStar and the Procedural Locations Tool for a little bit as well. So thanks again for the raid. Thank you so much. Before we continue, I just have to make a little shameless plug. Everything I do on this channel is for charity. So any and all monetization goes directly to charity. We're always raising money for StackUp.org. So if you're coming over here to hang out and watch and listen, we really appreciate you being here. If you suffer through an ad, just know that revenue goes directly to StackUp.org 100%. I donate every last dollar, and I even match some of it with my own money. So thank you so much for the follows. Thanks so much for joining us. Really appreciate your support. Thanks again, Red Monster SC, for the raid. Hope you had a really good stream. Have a good rest of your night.
Here's a great question for us.
Mm-hmm.
What are both of your views on Tools video? The Tools video. There's a specific one that came out. The supercut of how much CIG has referenced making tools to speed up development. I'll let you go first.
Whose Tools video?
I'm not sure. But
I think I know which one you're talking about.
But basically, it was a supercut of every time they mentioned tools.
Well, and so we actually did a podcast. So ours was on certain tools. Yeah. We did a podcast called The Road to
100 Systems.
Yeah, the Road to 100 Star Systems. And basically we covered the tools that CIG is using, is using to build everything within a star system, whether it's points of interest, the planets themselves, the asteroid fields, the gas clouds, the cities,
the ship, resources,
stations, and everything like that. So we covered all those things in one big Spectrum Pulse that we did a couple months ago, actually. Yeah, it was earlier this year. If you've got the Roy McAvoy, if you've got the link to what video you're talking about, I would love it if you would share it in chat, because I may have seen it, I may not. But yeah, CIG has gone absolutely ham on making tools far more than I think a lot of other companies do, at least after the initial development of their engine, just because most games don't require the amount of scale necessary that necessitates significant tools development. Whereas,
and I'm going to say, I know somebody was asking like this to be a Starfield free zone, but it's kind of the thing. Tools are the thing I would point to as the difference between Star Citizen and Starfield. Starfield was very handmade, very traditional procedural generation, general procedural assistance, as Star Citizen does. But they just kind of like, these are the crafted things, everything, like, and then those are the procedural generated things, not crafted. And Star Citizen is like, we're going to make all of these tools so that we can make the things we have to build by hand really good, so they can be put into these procedural systems that they can be pulled back for procedural assistance. That way they can build even outposts in a procedural way. Mm-hmm. But I think their tools are the thing that sets CIG or sets Star as the biggest difference to Starfield.
Mighty Bridge is a plugin. It's a plugin. So it's technically a tool, but Mighty Bridge is a plugin that is used in conjunction with something like the Procedural Locations Tool. But it's a plugin that attaches to multiple different pieces of software that the devs use in order to bring things into the editor. So that way they can, instead of having to make something into Houdini or Blender or what have you, and then export it from that program and then import it into the video game editor itself, you make it like in the editor. It doesn't have to, there's no export import process, because that's also where a lot of bugs are created that are very difficult to track and find. So, here, let's pull up that video.
Hello, everyone.
Oh, it's so old. Yeah, you're going to have to skip like a minute into it. There's a whole intro.
Oh, no. Okay, so this was a couple of weeks ago. Tools that make things faster, 10 years montage from Cameron. I'm going to save this to watch later. Yeah, I haven't watched this video, but I will definitely have to watch it. But yeah, Cameron does good videos, but there is definitely a crap ton of really amazing tools. Yeah, the prisoner. You you hit it on the nail on the head. It's to allow things to be done by designers rather than people who code, and to be a lot of it done very quickly by designers. Yeah, there are a lot of tools, and the development of the game is iterative, but the development of the tools is also iterative. Like, they'll make this tool and they're like, okay, this is great, but we need it to do this. And they'll make the next evolution of that tool. And that's how we've gotten to things like the Procedural Locations Tool and RaStar, because they have, so every time they update the way they code, they have to redo every tool. Now, they've created new tools over the years in order to
tools exist mostly outside
tools exist mostly outside of where the code touches. So Quantum and Odin, which we were just talking about, is a tool and system on its own. Like, Quantum is not CryEngine code. It's not the same code base. It is a service that will feed information into the engine, but it's not in the engine per se. The procedural location tool, procedural generation tool are tools to interact with the code. And yes, there will be bug fixes to do if you update relevant parts of the code. But most of the tools that they've worked on are not built inside the engine. They're not part of the game. They work on the kind of like using MS Paint to texture something in Blender. If you update Blender, you don't need to update Paint.
Yeah. And that's why Mighty Bridge is really cool, because they are able to, instead of having to go through the export-import process, things that they make in Blender or Houdini, and there's a couple other examples that they use, they go straight into the editor. And there isn't a export-import process that takes time, that generates errors. It's much more intuitive, and that's part of how the Procedural Locations tool works, in that they're able to do that, far more efficiently, and almost click button things that are brought from those programs and then put in, using a rule set in order to make a series of rooms within a space station or an underground facility, for example.
Yeah, just anytime somebody's like, haha, it's taking so long, they're just working on, just sit there and laugh at them and know they will be like dedicated players when they realize that when the tools are done, how fast everything starts going. Like, just Pyro alone, even though we don't even have Pyro yet, how long it took them to get Stanton to this point, Pyro's just done. The plants were just done in a month, they said?
Yeah.
And they've been keeping everything we get in Stanton. Stanton is continuing its development. Pyro was like, 2 year at this point, 3 years of development at this point?
Oh, and they slow-boated it because they were waiting on server meshing.
Right.
Almost every ISC that focuses on a development team, the VFX, the most recent one with VFX, the audio one, they will make a statement, either they will or Jared will, that specifically references how this is improving their workflow and they can get things done faster and get things done at scale. And they've been doing that for a couple, they've been really hitting it hard for a couple years now. No, I wouldn't say Nix that quickly, but I think that we'll see Nix in a much,
I would give it a year just so we solidify server meshing. But yeah, Nix 1 year after, the next year, possibly another system, the next year, possibly another system, the next year, 2 systems, 3 systems. Like, especially those systems where it's all rocky planets or gas giants, like stuff where will only be held up by basically art, is going to go dangerously fast.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, like, once they're comfortable with releasing squadron-focused content, how many systems do they have in that? All they got to do is sterilize it from all the story beats that they put in it. There you go. You got all those. Like, it's going to get breakneck here in a couple years.
Yeah. And that was one of the things we highlighted in that Spectrum Pulse, is not only had they been working on the tools for years in order to get the tools to the tools, as well as their pipeline, their workflow. Like they talked about in the ship SCL during Invictus Launch Week, how they revamped the ship pipeline, and it's far more efficient, and they can more accurately predict when they'll be done. And so that, with a vehicle, but it also makes it so their scheduling is far more accurate. And so this reduces a whole bunch of confusion in your production timeline and reduces the overall timeline. Well, they're doing all these things in order to speed up their workflow, in order to be able to produce things faster and more efficiently and more, get things done more accurately with their timelines. But they're also hiring a crap ton of people. So they're on both fronts. They're working to increase production. And when you look at like the amount of people, the amount of people that they're hiring, what their hiring goals are with the amount of money that they're making, the amount of production is especially once they get down the squadron, is going to go through the roof, especially once that roof is blown off with server meshing, no longer being a blocker to.
And I know it's kind of a
production.
meme at this point, talking about how tools are going to make stuff faster, but like, now we're getting to the point where those hurdles that they pointed to saying we there are here.
Yeah.
Like server meshing, like they said in 2017, Chris Jarvis was up on stage and said specifically and to the point, server meshing is, in our opinion, the last milestone for tech. That's not the last time they'll touch tech. There'll all be updates and new barriers they find to push over. But to the vision of Star Citizen, once server meshing is at dynamic 2, or where the servers are able to shrink and grow on their own and cut up the world in however the way the servers see fit, the game is going to basically be done. And the amount of time we get from server meshing 1 with Pyro to Dynamic V2, what should be only a year to 3 years. Well, it's not going to be as short as a year, but like at most, I'm thinking like 3 years. We could have 5 systems in that. Like it's going to go stupid fast, because once you tell the servers like, "Hey, don't worry about that over there," and you can just go to it anyway. That like it's just all sorts of fast, all sorts of just exploded. Like I think we might have. I think they said 2 to 3. They said 2 to 3 years for the second episode of Squadron, right? I remember they had something about Squadron.
So here's a good example of what we're talking about. I just went to starchives.org, which is a tool this is a tool that Nazeris and I use in order to search the transcripts for Star Citizen videos. And so if you search for exponential, and you can see the amount of a lot of these mentions are specifically regarding how much faster they can do things now, and how much more content and more locations and more of the game is going to be coming in and getting built because of tools, because of workflow, because of pipelines, because of hiring new people. That game development is exponential. Like Jared says, it's just crazy.
Odin's done already? No, they're probably going to hold off on Odin. What was it? It was Stanton, Pyro. I want to say Kestis. That's the stupid guy's name in Star Wars.
Stanton, Pyro, Nyx, Castra.
And then I think we agreed that they'd loop around to Terra to let the tools mature till they get to Terra, which is basically Earth Mark II, and they want to give that some time. And then we're going to probably go out to Magnus, because it will be the first hub system for manufacturing, for vehicle manufacturing. But they said very specifically that they want whatever system they do next to challenge their tools, so they make better tools. So, and we also need certain types of gameplay on the map. And one of those types of gameplay is long hauls for cargo.
Yeah.
And so you need at least the Castra to Stanton, so you can go from Stanton to Castra bringing goods.
Yeah.
But for those who don't want to brave Pyro, you need the end around from Terra.
Yep.
So it's a much slower run, but you get there without going into pirates.
Let's bring it back to the SITREP, because we got way tangented, but it's okay because that's good conversation, especially good conversation with new people to the podcast, new people to stream. Super glad to have you guys hanging out, and those are really good questions. So I'm glad you brought it up. And we are prone to tangents.
You want to hear more about tools?
Go
watch literally every episode we've made.
Yeah, we talk a lot about tools, and we're going to talk more about tools here in a minute. But yeah,
we're talking about Odin and Quantum now. We'll be talking about the procedural location. All right, I believe we're just only in the second box here in the April 2023 monthly report. Again, this the SST team, SST team. Again, they talked about working on 318.2 and various shops and prototyping of mission markers and bounty hunting. The virtual NPC service, but they also said the team is planning out the next set of milestones for the Quantum.
So say we all!
Oh, okay. I'm like, what on earth was that? So that was April, and then very next month, May, also the SST team spent time working on Bounty Hunter 2 again, finalizing upstream work on character creation service, R&D for bounty contracts, and a bounty marker prototype, and connecting NPC tracking service to the game server. Additionally, new C# service wrapper was also completed. Here's the point. The team also continued working on the Quantum Odin tool. So Quantum and Odin very much linked. Like I said, Odin is the tool they use to see the quantum simulation.
Yep.
So the simulation
it's what they demonstrated at CitizenCon. Yeah.
Like you can spill a cup of water behind you, and that's a simulation. But you want to be able to see it, so you put it in a glass box and watch it. So you can have quantum running, but you won't know what it's doing unless you look at Odin. Kind of a mismatched example, but anyway. Including making progress on the data-driven economy. Everyone drank, they said economy. Quanta state, quanta life, and the battle matrix. And battle system. Oh, battle matrix sounds really, really hardcore. Finally, SST continued support for the recent live releases, including several bug fixes and price modifications. So ship prices are an interesting thing. Slight tiny tangent here. Quantum's going to take over the prices of ships because it's going to take into account the supply and demand of all the materials that go into each component on a ship. So that's why it's in SST. Ship prices are under SST. And then moving along to June. So April, May,
I put
June.
June in there because SST is in there, but they don't specifically mention Odin or Quantum. So that's interesting. Because and let's see, it was.
When did they finalize plans that they were going to do CitizenCon this year?
What do you mean? Say what?
What month did they announce that there was going to be a CitizenCon?
Oh gosh, I don't remember now.
Anyway, I'll read this one and you see if you can find that.
I'm going to.
So SST, the Systemic Services and Tools team, began planning the required service refactor in support of server meshing. So it started in June. So they already had services and stuff they were working on. Now they're mapping out what they need to update those to work with server meshing. They also began code cleanup and working through tech debt for the diffusion architecture and general instance manager, or GIM. Additionally, the team supported the USPU with bug fixes and integrations towards the Hull C and cargo future releases. So this is them preparing the economy, or preparing for the cargo and the economy to be moved with cargo, not just the nebulous background.
Yeah, nebulous. And then in July monthly report, the SST team was not there, but we also just got, told that the SST team was going to be turning into the economy team and getting some of the same deliverables, but also having some things changed. Quanta is working now in the PU in certain limited capacities. So quantum, and the quanta within quantum. Quanta are the little individual data points that represent ethereal NPCs. And SST is Systemic Services and Tools. They're the team that are working on the entire quantum simulation, which isn't just the economy, but it's all the AI services that feed into it for like Bounty Hunter V2. Looks like CitizenCon was announced in June. Awesome. Yeah, that's when they confirmed stuff.
Interesting that a traditional major panel in CitizenCon happened to go missing they announced a CitizenCon. Interesting. Yeah. No tinfoil hats here.
Could be related. And then the team's not even there in July, but they're also getting reformed in the economy team. So Quanta, the Quanta is what factors into the probability volumes. So the number of quanta of a given type within a probability volume is what influences how the probability that you will see them. So you're not going to see that specific quanta, but if if you dice gets rolled and based off of the probability, you are going to see a hauler flying around, and they'll be in a caterpillar, and they should be hauling what would be going from here to there, based off of the quantum system, and then that's what you'll see. But they'll spawn, and then they'll despawn, and they'll die, they'll go away. They don't persist.
You don't even
NPCs
see quanta.
Persist. Yeah,
you see the NPCs that are spawned because of what the quanta are doing. Quanta are only visible through Odin.
Yeah, the quanta just impact the probabilities in the probability volumes for the different.
And they also move cargo.
Yeah. And then I put this up here just so everybody can see. So here's Shinytracker. And here's the quantum simulation. And here's continuous work on the quantum simulation. Continuing. So they have been working on it. Everybody thinks that they haven't been working on it. They have. And we've had, fade out, despawn, whatever you want to call it.
Remove from the world.
Mm-hmm. But they have been working on the on quantum, under the SST team, and they've been adding more tasks and completing them, and that's how that works. So they, they complete these tasks, and that reveals these ones, and so they get to work on those. But where they are making progress. So like here we are, they had the engineering team had 10 tasks at the beginning of July, and at the end down here in September they're down to 2. So we don't know exactly what that means. We just know that they're continuing to make progress and continuing to work on it. But yeah, that's all we have for the work on the quantum simulation. Just remember, the quantum simulation isn't just the economy. It's all the AI services that feed into Bounty Hunter V2, which the other teams, the gameplay feature teams, have been working on, and the location teams have been working on extensively. So we shall see.
I think one of the second biggest points, other than the economy for Quanta, is the composition of the world. So like you were saying, it's what ships do you see flying around, but also what NPCs of what job and what point in their life do you see in a given landing zone. So, also UGFs coming soon to a verse near you. There's a lot of there will be a lot of quantum interaction with that, because you got how many workers are there, how many business people are there, the ships coming and going from. So you have UGFs are going to be kind of a hub, kind of for just like landing zones are for Quanta.
Execute, hanging out in chat. Good to see you, buddy. Hope you're doing well. Hope things are going well down in Australia. Well, no, you're Tanzania, right? Or Tasmania? Yeah, way far south of these.
Those are a bit different.
Tasmania. No, well, Tanzania is Tanzania is a country in Africa. Tasmania is south of Australia, but isn't there a province in Australia that has a similar name? Getting confused. It's late. Anyway.
Yes, I agree with this statement.
Yeah.
It is late. Have to be at work in about 5 hours.
So, the last bit of this SITREP, we just wanted to talk about another thing that we have covered before, and this is just combined information on RaStar, which we all know and love is being used to make the outposts that we've seen. Yeah, it's a tool that the devs use in order to produce the not only the outposts, but a bunch of other different things. And so the reason I wanted to bring this up, Nazeris and I covered the RaStar tool November 5th, 2022. The Versus Star Citizen Faster was a scan anomaly we did after the presentation at CitizenCon last year. That was the...
That's awesome.
Yeah, yep. And then... Oh yeah, this one... Did I click on the wrong thing? Oh well, anyway. But so we got... and we've also covered the... Oh wait, no, this one, the Versus Star Citizen Faster scan anomaly for November 5th, 2022 was on the Procedural Locations Tool, which utilizes Mighty Bridge and a number of other features. And the Procedural Locations Tool is what they use in order to make the interiors of things. So the Procedural Locations Tool, basically they will say, for this point of interest, this location, you have this space, and we're going to give you these parameters, and then click go, and it will fill in that space based off of what you're going to use it for. So it will create a cave with the tunnels and the branching patterns and the caverns and such. It will build the interior of a station with all the rooms that it needs and the connecting corridors and such based off of a logical flow. They're doing that for the underground facilities. So that's how you get variety with the underground facilities as well. I speculate that they're going to use it for the asteroid facilities that are in production as well. But this tool predates the old underground facilities and the way they're built. And so I got interested in this because not only did we cover the Procedural Locations Tool last year, we covered RaStar and RaStar Outposts and Base Building, a Spectrum Pulse we did November 21st, 2022. And so we got the ISC on May 11th, 2023, inside Star Citizen Settlers of Stanton. And let's see, is this the clip that I think? I don't remember if I had a timestamp that I wanted to play. Yeah, here, we'll just start at the beginning. We'll play like the first minute or two.
Populating the surface of Star Citizen's planets and moons is no small endeavor. From the tiniest of easy habs to the largest of landing zones, creating new places where players and NPCs alike can gather to buy and sell, collect and trade, create and destroy, oh my, is essential to our continuing efforts to expand gameplay opportunities within the persistent universe. And with the upcoming Alpha 320, members of the Montreal Sandbox team are doing just that with the newest edition of Derelict Settlements.
Since the last time we talked about these derelict settlements, we've been progressing quite well. We started with maybe one settlement last time we spoke, and now we're up to about 15 fully fleshed settlements with a unique look, narrative, and theme around them. The longest part is just finding a theme and then scouting these really epic locations.
Okay, so I think all of these settlements are in 320. Somebody has taken screenshots. I've seen them. I know at least some of them are in the 320. I don't know if all of them are. But basically, these derelict settlements are, they're, the Ghost Hollow and what's the other one on Daymar?
Whistler's Crypt.
Ghost Hollow and Whistler's Crypt are derelict settlements. They're not derelict outposts. They are two different things, but they do share some assets and techniques and such. But the derelict settlements are partly built now, we know now, are partly built using the Procedural Locations Tool. And it's procedural, as in, like, here is the space that you have in order to make this settlement. Click, and then here are the rules, and it'll add certain things in there. But they also, we know now that they use RaStar as well. Because, let's see, it's... where was it? Oh gosh, did I lose it? Oh, I had a thing.
Oh.
Hold on. Back to the OneNote.
Access is saying he wants one that looks a little less ruined.
Well,
you
these
need
are
to find
derelict.
somewhere that's less old.
Yeah. Let's see. Here we go. Sorry, wrong video. So in this one, and then in Inside Star Citizen, hey, now it's RaStar. We're going to go back here to the beginning. We'll play the first minute or two of this. This was just a couple weeks ago, August 3rd, 2023. And I heard this and I got confused because when Nazeris and I had covered these two tools, the way they were described in the monthly reports and such, it seemed very certain that the Procedural Locations Tool was for derelict settlements like Whistler's Crypt and Ghost Hollow, and the underground facilities, the new ones, space stations, caves, and potentially asteroid facilities. Whereas RaStar was for outposts, where you have those structures with the overlays built using RaStar. But then all of a sudden they're like, well, wait a minute. Now we're using RaStar for the surface of UGFs in this ISC. And you'll hear what Jared says in a second.
RaStar, first introduced in development at CitizenCon 2951, is the tool that allows developers to easily place and manipulate structures on the surface of planets and moons in systems Stanton, Pyro, and beyond. And in the time since, work's progressed to stabilize and shore up the tech so the team can use it on a whole host of locations, from the most recent derelict settlements to a reconfiguration of existing UGFs in the upcoming Alpha 320.
Okay, so when I heard that, I was like, wait a minute, since when are they using RaStar on derelict settlements? Because in this monthly report, and it was mentioned a couple other times as well, August 2022, the Montreal-based tools team released Mighty Bridge version 0.6 to the dev team. This update adds 2 new functionalities. Version 2 of the object spawner, which allows the team to spawn multiple layers of objects on geometries and planet surfaces, and the cable generator, which generates complex cables from a simple spline. These 2 tools will help the art teams create locations faster. The release also includes a variety of improvements and services, including an updated debug mesh that helps selecting the parent tool and increases precision on planet surfaces. The team is also nearing completion of the first version of the Procedural Locations Creation Tool. The first version of the Procedural Locations Creation Tool. A couple months later, they are at like version 0.1 or version 1.0. This will allow them to create and edit simple layouts of space stations in minutes and will dramatically decrease the time it takes to make stations out of existing modules. They're also in the final push of the first version of the tool that will help create derelict settlements. The goal of this iteration is to be able to create 80% of a derelict settlement procedurally. This heavy lifting will allow the artists more time to polish and finish the locations. Reaching this goal will mean that a derelict settlement will take weeks rather than months to create. So at this time, we already had Ghost Hollow. They were working on Whistler's Crypt. And then shortly thereafter, they mentioned they were working on 15 more. Okay, well, we can track derelict settlements. Here we are. Additional derelict settlements. A couple months after the completion of those tools is when they went into full production. They made 15 more derelict settlements in the time it took them to make essentially make one. And that's what we're looking at right now, because they're getting ready to release right here. But right here it says using the RaStar tool, and right here it's using the Procedural Locations Tool. So, which is it? Well, I've reached out to Jake, and Jake's like, yeah, they actually combined it. So now where they are able to use RaStar to add portions of the location onto the map and do the deformations of the map and the map tile, just like they showed in this ISC, where they're able to, right here.
Object containers, so that, for example, if I were to move this location up, the terrain would automatically conform to the ground that needs to be.
Yeah. So they can use RaStar here in order to deform the terrain and add certain structures. Like if you go to Whistler's Crypt, there are some of the buildings that look like derelict. They look like the derelict outposts that are part of RaStar. So those will get added, and that's how some of the terrain gets deformed and such. But then they can also use the Procedural Locations tool to add in this sort of stuff in a procedural way, as well as do all these different wires and other things. There's a bunch of different tools within it that help create the entire location alongside RaStar. So it's now a combination process. It isn't these two things are siloed and use this one for this type of POI and this one for this type of POI. Now, I don't think they're going to be using RaStar for space stations or anything like that yet, but it's interesting to see them combining the two for the derelict settlements. Well, so the other thing,
RaStar for space stations, we get one step closer for them changing their mind on player stations.
Bingo. Because if you do remember the last RaStar presentation we got before this one, they talked about using RaStar to make things in orbit. And It was like a little tidbit that they added at the end, and I remember Nazeris and I were both like, "What?"
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a good way to think about them is RaStar is good for the big building blocks or like the flow of a location. And then the procedural location tool is good for the set dressing.
Yep. Yeah, exactly.
So you build what you want, then you dress it.
Yeah, making a station. So the station is made using the external portion of the station is made using a different tool, but then the internal aspects are made using the Procedural Locations tool. That's how they get those layouts that we're all so used to, that are very... they are procedurally generated, but they are very samey. But it's made that way using the Procedural Locations tool, and that's how they generate the interiors. But what we have now is just like the tier 1 version of those interiors. We're going to get more. Yeah, and there's a lot more rooms that they've talked about, like not Sean Tracy.
There's a security office. We know we're getting bigger places, possibly HABs, trains.
Yeah, there's going to be engineering spaces.
Yeah, engineering. There's the whole back working. So every system that's on a ship will also be on a station. Yeah, there's a bunch. There's a bunch to be added to stations. Stations definitely have not reached their final form.
Yeah, and the Prisoner, they are definitely going to have derelict stations, and that's part of how the resource management is going to work. In that you can, just like if you found a derelict Bengal, you could bring it back into service, but you can be on it, but you can't own it, and you have to maintain control of it. Same thing's going to happen for space stations, probably for asteroid facilities too. So the other thing that's interesting about RaStar that I wanted to update is, and had no news about any of this, just came out of the blue when we got this Roadmap Roundup, but this is the July 26th one, so it's a little over a month old. But the new Crusader platforms are built using RaStar. And they always talked about RaStar was for the structures on the surfaces of planets and moons. There's no surface. There's literally not a surface, but they're able to use RaStar in order to build the platforms on Crusader and build them really fast using the RaStar tool. So that's apparently there are a few issues with it. So it's going to need a little bit of additional work, but we're going to be seeing them in 320.x along with the retrieve consignment missions that are associated with those locations. I don't know if they move. I haven't looked. It'd be really hard to tell. I don't know.
I know they fired their thrusters. I'm not sure if they actually changed their elevation at all.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like there was something about them saying that either they were trying to or they were working on it.
Yeah.
Because there's voice lines and everything about and there's lore about the stresses that the floating action does on the scaffolding. So there's all the framework for it moving.
Aether Drift, I know what you're talking about. The new missions they're not on the platforms, they're on the barges.
Oh yeah, I forgot about those barge missions too.
Yeah, they're on those new cargo barges. That's what yeah. Yeah. And then here we are again on Shinytracker. So we looked at the additional derelict settlements, all the work that's been going into them with the Montreal Sandbox team, art, design. Yeah. Oh, and the EU Sandbox team as well. So these are coming out in 320 is what they're already in the 220 branch. I think that there's probably going to be additional ones that they're going to be adding in before the end of the year, and that's why this work is scheduled. But then you can see all this work on RaStar. So you can see that RaStar's had a lot of work over the years since it was first announced. But then again, there's been quite a bit of work in the last few quarters and up until recently with the Planet Tech team, the engineers, continuing to refine that tool. So this is how this tool has grown from being able to make outposts to being able to work on the UGFs on the surface, or the old ones, to being able to help with the derelict settlements on the surface, and now the new Crusader platforms. So the RaStar tool has a lot more functionality and variation in its abilities than it did, even last year when they were first talking about it.
Yeah,
which is really impressive to me.
Tools, man, making stuff faster.
Yep. Yeah, Naz and I are fools for tools. Naz, you got anything to follow up on that? Otherwise, I think we are ready to call it.
I think that very well covered it. I think that's all we got.
So pretty interesting stuff. Looking forward to seeing what more we get from CitizenCon this year. Thanks again for joining us and sticking around. Those of you who came in with the Red Monster raid. Really glad you guys came over and stuck around, and hope you found this informative.
They missed a second raid.
Oh gosh, I didn't see. Maybe they came into the same time. I saw the Red Monster SC raid. I didn't see anything else, but I wasn't monitoring chat super close. But if there was another raid, big thanks to whoever that was. But it makes a big difference. Before we sign out, we like to pay it forward. So if we can get a suggestion for who we should raid, let's see. Paul is apparently playing Starfield, or he might still be doing that Starfield stream for the lore. Croncy is playing Starfield. Sergeant Tickles is playing Starfield. So is Zero State. Red Lobster. Anyone have any suggestions for a raid?
Moist Noodle, Ginger Bomb, Blink Games, Penguin TV. Oh no, Penguin TV is playing something else. Paul, Ninth Divine, are all playing Star. Henkin had to be different, and he's playing Red Dead.
Let's go ahead and we're going to pay it forward. Paul has raided us multiple times. We'll raid Paul back. Do you guys mind if we raid Paul? Let's raid Paul. All right, we're raiding Paul. Executive decision.
Make it happen.
Yeah, he's playing Starfield now. All righty. 3, 2, 1. Raid. Bye, everyone. Thanks so much. Love you guys.
Ooh, base building. I can't watch. I can't watch. I don't want this spoiled for me.
Yeah, I'm not going to be able to get to do any base building until next week. I might be able to play a little bit on Monday, but I don't have any time budgeted until, for sure until Wednesday. So,
yeah, I have some downtime Saturday evening,